Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Foul Play YouTube channel, Reading with the Crew, The Entrapment of Brendan Dassey, Part 3.
Thank you so much, Jack61, for the warm welcome, and welcome everyone. It's great to be here. My name is Dr. Silkman. I'm from the Foul Play team, and I'm from Adelaide, South Australia. Nice and chilly today. We're in the middle of winter, but welcome. And again, guys, thank you so much for joining us in our podcast series. But before we start the podcast, I'd like to introduce our esteemed panel that we have today. First of all, Jack61, how are you going, good sir?
Hello, Doc and Susan, and everyone that's joined us so far, at least in the live chat. I'm glad to see you, and hope everyone is going to. You're going to get mad in today's uh, readings and so forth that Doc has prepared. But it's important to keep Brendan's story out there, no matter what the legal ramifications are going on in his life, his case. Doesn't matter. We still need to talk about it because you never know what some future, maybe even current. I doubt that Governor Evers is going to do anything. He hasn't so far. Just never know what can happen down the road. So, hello everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much, Jack61. And next we have Susan. Susan, welcome. Great to see you here.
Thank you, Doc. Hello, everyone. It's nice to be here. Welcome. And I hope you enjoy the presentation.
Thank you so much, Susan. Well, look, guys, we're not going to waste any time. We're going to get straight into the podcast. Jack61, if we can have the opening title slide, please. As you know, Neville and I have put together this series with the help from everyone from the Foul Play team. And it's really talking about Brendan Dassey's journey, what he has endured, what he's gone through. And the series is entitled The Entrapment of Brendan Dassey. And this is episode 3. So guys, if you enjoy what we do, please subscribe, put your DNA on the thumbs up button, and turn on the notification bell, because often the Foul Play team will do several podcasts per week. Make sure that you get the notifications. All of us here on the Foul Play team want to thank you guys very much for your support and your comments. All of us go through your comments and we read them and we take note. And no matter what listening platform you're on, welcome. And also, we also want to thank our mods, our hardworking mods in the background, getting the show on the road, so to speak. Thank you so much. Well, as you can see, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to continue today's series. If we have a look at the next slide, Jack61. Oh, and if you've got any questions, please place a queue and we'll try and answer your questions at the end of the podcast. Well, as a bit of a refresher, so this is really what has happened to Brendan Dassey so far. You know that on November the 6th, when Brendan was at Crivets, he was interrogated by both O'Neill and Baldwin. That was a very important interrogation because it demonstrated that Brendan was able to change willingly his narrative, especially when he was confronted. O'Neill confronted Brendan regarding the observations of the bus driver and the school kids on the bus. Brendan essentially caved in and changed his narrative twice. He essentially agreed that he saw Teresa Horbach, her RAV4, and Stephen when he got off the school bus. The tragedy, of course, is that could not have been possible. The school bus driver, Lisa Buchner, had made a mistake. But quite clearly, O'Neill and Baldwin had already written down that Brendan Dassey was concealing something, right? Only 4 days later, Brendan again was interrogated by Skolinski and Baldwin. And as you know, guys, this time Skolinski directly said to Brendan, "Hey, mate, stop protecting your uncle because we believe that your uncle had murdered Teresa Horbach and burnt her body in the burn pit." Jack61.
Yeah, I have to add, just reading That's DCI Report 33. If anyone wants to read it, the Skorlinski interview with Brendan. And I say the word interview loosely. I think Skorlinski got in his face. I think he was rough with him. I can't prove that, but
Yes.
maybe later on we can. We'll see.
Yes. Remember, there was the report of the questioning of Blaine by Skorlinski, and Skorlinski got into Blaine's face. So Skorlinski was extremely aggressive. So remember, all these investigators and detectives are writing down reports. Now, Fassbender and Wiegert got involved in all of this. And Wiegert and Baldwin spoke with Kayla. And Kayla, I think, was only 13 or 14 at the time. And she had said some things to the investigators that caught their attention. So now, guys, we're up to date on what today's podcast is going to be. Both Fassbender and Wiegert now wanted to talk to Brendan Dassey. And Brendan Dassey was interrogated actually 3 times on the February the 27th, 2006. He was interrogated at his own high school, Mishcot High School. They then re-interrogated Brendan at the Two Rivers Police Department. And I found out they also questioned him, and we'll talk about this, later on at Fox Hills. So within one day, Brendan Dassey was intensively interrogated for a total of 3 times, right? So it's quite clear that they were very interested in Brendan. So, Jack 61, if we have a look at the next slide. So the question must be asked, what attracted the investigators, Fassbender and Wiegert, to re-question Brendan? Why now all of a sudden the focus on Brendan? And Jack 61 made a really, really good point, right? Brendan Dassey initially was not arrested, right, guys? Even though he was questioned by Skorlinski, hey, we believe that your uncle had cremated Teresa Halbach in his burn pit. You were there. You know, why are you protecting Brendan? Why are you protecting Stephen? But Brendan Dassey was not immediately arrested. So it is something that Kayla said that now pointed their attention back on Brendan. Jack 61.
Well, again, this goes back, and this is just me thinking sideways here. I'm just trying to understand this connection, because as you just talked about, we go from November to freaking February, middle of
Yep.
February, actually, past the lawsuit.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, this statement from Kayla, these statements from Kayla,
Yep.
and I have to think in the background also going on is what? All this shit with Marie. And
There is.
who's the common denominator?
Yep. It's
freaking
Candy.
It's
Candy.
Candy.
Yeah.
I can't prove it. This is just me saying, I think she instigated everything that Kayla said. And then, of course, Fassbender and Wiegert take what she said and twist it. And Fallon twisted it even more, just twisting up so they can inculpate, bring Brendan into it, just drag him into it. It's complete. It's such a tragic way to get to see.
It is very
I
much
also,
so. Susan.
I also think at that time that the local sentiment was leaning toward, Stephen being set up and not being guilty of this.
It was until they brought Brendan down this damn path.
Right.
Yep. Good point.
Yep.
Good point. So the bottom line is this. What attracted Brendan to Fassbender and Wiegert? Why did they want to re-question Brendan? Because as Jack pointed out, several months have gone by, right? Susan.
Well, I think, you know, a lot of it had to do with what I just said,
Yes.
turning the tide,
Yes.
strengthening their case
Yes.
against Stephen.
Yep.
And they knew they had putty in their hands with Brendan.
Yes. Yes. In actual fact, you'll actually see evidence of this. Yes, Nan's Life 7 states Brendan was Stephen Avery's alibi. That's 100% correct.
Yeah.
But remember, all of this had to be formalized of why Fassbender and Wiegert now wanted to talk to Brendan again. So this is the discourse that took place between Fallon and Wiegert, right? Now, Jack 61, are you happy to read Fallon's part, which is the question, and the answer is Wiegert? Susan, are you happy to read that part?
Sure, Doc.
Yep.
Can you?
So Fallon
Are you
Yep.
reading off the screen, Susan?
Yeah, I think I'm going to, Jack. I
Is
can
that
make it bigger.
Okay, well, I can say I can blow it up if you want.
It would be easier if I could read off StreamYard.
Yep.
I
If
will.
you can just blow it up a little bit. Yeah.
How about that?
Oh, yeah, that's perfect.
Awesome.
There you
Okay, let's go for it, guys.
go. Okay. All right, here we're going to start. All right. In terms of the decision to re-interview Brendan Dassey on February 27, was there any particular reason that occurred at or around that time?
Yes. After receiving information from Kayla on the 20th of February, obviously the loss of weight, the uncontrollable crying are signs that we look for. I mean, it's a change in behavior. It's not normal for a 16-year-old boy to be just crying uncontrollably and just lose that type of weight. So obviously that's something we look for. And for lack of a better word, it's kind of moved into the front of the line, and we needed to interview him and talk to him.
Can I make a comment before we move on, Doc?
Yeah, of course.
Kayla. Okay, I'm going to back this up here. I don't know who told them, but they were made aware about this girl that had broke up with Brendan, called him fat.
Yes.
He was heartbroken. That's why he was crying. She called him fat. That's why he's trying to lose weight. There's no way he lost 40 pounds. No way.
No.
He didn't lose 40 pounds. What did he lose? Like 5 or something?
Yeah, it was
Something
a smaller amount. Smaller
Yeah.
amount.
My last remark before I continue with Fallon is that if it was so effing important, why did they wait a week? They talked to her on the 20th. They didn't talk to him till the 27th. Were they formulating a plan?
Yes. Yes.
An excuse?
Yes, they were. They both. They were formulating a plan. They were formulating a plan and an excuse. So it's very, very interesting because from their own words, they actually showed you what their strategy was. There's also one important point before you guys continue. The two chief investigators, the co-lead investigators, were continuously talking with Kratz. So they were strategizing. They were working out what the next step was. Yep, all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue, guys.
All right, here we go. Now, and at that particular point, did you have some suspicion as to what may be causing the weight loss and change of behavior? I mean, practically speaking.
Well, absolutely. I mean, at that point, we felt he knew more than he was willing to tell us. And we do a lot of other things before we go interview people. We review prior interviews, such as the gentleman's interview that was sitting here prior to me, Marinette County's interview. I mean, review that. See how he's stuttering?
Yep.
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 Yeah. And we take a look at what he told them. There are things in there that didn't quite fit either. So you take some of the things that he told the Marinette officers that just didn't seem to fit, and then his the losing weight and the uncontrollable crying. Obviously, that points you in a direction you want to go. He's somebody you need to talk to.
All right.
Who is it asking the questions here? Doug?
Fallon.
Fallon.
Oh,
Fallon.
yeah.
Fallon to Wiegert.
Okay.
So do we have any comments on that little discourse?
Well, he just basically
That's
discussed exactly
bullshit.
what he said. It is what they said in the beginning. They had all this weight loss, and he's crying all the time. That's all he got. Leaving out the part that his girlfriend had broke up with him and broke his heart.
Correct.
And
correct.
Didn't Kayla tell them that she saw him crying at a party? Not like he was
Yes.
crying all the time.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So you see, you got to understand, guys, how the machinations of the courtroom work. And I'm getting much more knowledge of how it all works. Remember, all of this is already rehearsed. Fallon would have already spoken with Wiegert, Fassbender, and they would have gone through all the questions and the responses. So Fallon knew what questions to ask. Wiegert knew what questions he was going to ask. Fallon knew the answers, right? So notice they needed a legitimate reason why all of a sudden they want to go back and talk to Brendan. Because as Jack 61 pointed out, Brendan wasn't arrested. So what happened in between? What happened in between was Kayla. All of a sudden now, think about it. The two co-lead investigators are concerned because Brendan is crying and losing weight, right? So think about it.
Don't forget about that clip that you pulled out of convicting a murderer and what
Yes.
Kayla said. They just called her a liar until she said, "Well, why are you interviewing me?"
Correct.
You know.
Correct. Because they needed a legitimate reason out of the blue to visit Brendan at his school and re-question him. And as Susan pointed out and has been said in chat, they're putting two and two together. They're going through what Brendan said to O'Neill, to Baldwin and Skolinski. And they're putting two and two together thinking, oh my God, Brendan Dassey was with his uncle at the burn pit. So in their mind, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, in their mind, the two lead investigators are going, either Brendan is a witness or he's a co-conspirator. Guys, would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, that's his alibi.
Yep.
And
So now,
Kratz knew, I think, in his mind, taking this week that after they spoke to Kayla, he knew he had to do one of two things: either rope him in,
yep,
or destroy him. Yeah, I guess destroy him.
correct.
Not rope him in, and that's exactly what they did.
Correct. And remember what Kratz said in his book? Oh, I never considered Brendan Dassey as a suspect. And did I just simply ignore him? Well, now the focus is straight on Brendan. Remember, guys, how they were working on Jody. They were working on Jody, trying to rope him in.
Yeah, like a show pony.
Yep. Oh, Stephen did this. Or what about your personal sex life? Asking all these highly embarrassing questions to Jody. And in the end, you'll see Jody said, bugger off. I've had enough.
Jack,
So, Susan.
When exactly did they figure out, or I'm not sure how to say it, but that Brendan was actually there with Stephen that night?
He told him. He told him on the 10th. On the 10th.
It was actually in a phone call. It was actually in a phone call. I'm pretty sure it was on the 4th, November 4th.
Okay.
A phone call between who?
I can't remember.
You mean a Stephen call?
Well, there was definitely a Stephen call on the 30th where Brendan was over there, and I can't remember. And I can't remember if him and Jody talked about it on the 31st. that bringing me over to help clean up whatever.
Yeah, because there was a lot of controversy on what day or night the actual fire was and what night
Yes.
Brendan was over to help his uncle,
That's right.
right? There
But
was a
when did Wiegert and Fassbender figure out that Brendan had been there?
from at least the 10th, for sure
Yeah.
on the 10th, after when Skolinski spoke with Brendan, Skolinski said to him, "This is what your uncle did. Stop protecting your uncle." It was a direct accusation. And look at what we get said in court. We talk to everyone. We look at all the reports, and he even said the gentleman that was sitting here, the gentleman that was sitting before Wiegert was O'Neill. And O'Neill said in court, Brendan was hiding something. He wasn't telling me anything. So now Fassbender and Wiegert are armed with the knowledge, wait a minute, Brendan is with his uncle. Brendan is at the burn pit. What did Brendan see? So now they go back and question Brendan.
So they know they have a problem with a witness, an alibi.
Correct?
That's right. A huge problem.
Correct. So if we have a look at the, sorry, Jack 61.
Just to answer Susan, I'm trying to remember what call or document that I read that they were aware that Brendan was there 30th or 31st for sure. They knew it.
Yep, correct. Because you can hear in the calls, again, he's arguing, Stephen is arguing with his sister saying, I can't remember when the fire was. And Barb was saying, well, it was when Scott came and picked me up, and that was the 31st, that was Halloween. Oh,
right.
Okay then. And then Stephen even said, well, that means that Brendan was with me.
Yeah.
Right? So early on, guys, Fassbender and Wiegert are going, shit, we've got these cremains in Stephen's burn pit. Brendan said he's with his uncle at the burn pit. Oh my God, what does Brendan know? Right? So now put yourself in Brendan's situation here. Oh, welcome, Barb. Great to see you here. So put yourself in Brendan's situation. He's at school, right? Everyone at his high school would know that his uncle has been arrested and charged with the murder of Teresa Hallbach, right? Because it was on the news all the time and in the media. Everyone at the school knows who Brendan Dassey is, right? So that's common knowledge. Now, Brendan is at school. Imagine two senior co-lead detectives or investigators now come and visit you at your school and want to talk to you about what you know. So both Fassbender and Wiegert roll up at Mishicot High School on February the 27th, and they want to talk to Brendan. Now, imagine, as you know, Brendan is just a young kid, 16 years old, very shy, and he's intellectually limited, and that's a fact. There was no adult guardian or supervisor with him at that time. So these two co-lead detectives just roll up at school, speak to, I think, the principal, that they want to talk to Brendan. What Brendan didn't realize is that both Fassbender and Wiegert were going to use the read technique on Brendan. The thing is, with the read technique, the person interrogating you is able to lie. They're permitted to lie. They're permitted to ask leading questions, and they're able to use deception, right? That's normal. That's standard operating procedure. Brendan had no idea what was about to happen. So Fassbender and Wiegert roll up to the school and take him out of his class, and I think he went in a conference room. So imagine a 16-year-old kid. Your uncle has been arrested for the murder of Teresa Hallbach. these two guys now want to question you. Guys, do we have any comments so far? Jack 61.
Imagine being a school counselor and just allowing this child to be interviewed without any adult present.
Correct. But
I just can't fathom it.
Correct. But Fassbender and Wiegert were devious because they never called Barb first. They went and spoke with Brendan, right? So if we have a look at the next page, this is very interesting. So most kids his age would be crapping their pants, right? 2 detectives now want to talk to you at your school. So this is very interesting. This is a report, the report written by Mark Wiegert of that interrogation session. And they don't call it an interrogation. They call it just a questioning, right? And you know why they call it a questioning and not an interrogation? Because they talked about it during the trial. They asked Wiegert and Fassbender, well, did you consider Brendan Dassey a suspect? And they said, no. Susan, do you have any comments?
I just think about how cruel that is. A 16-year-old. They go to his school. They could have waited until he got out of school and done it then. You know, this way you've got every kid in that school talking about, you know, Brendan getting questioned and things like that. It's just horrible the way they did it. They had no care for Brendan whatsoever.
No. And I asked the people in chat and on the panel, have you ever been in primary school or high school, you're young, and suddenly over the loudspeaker in the classroom, the headmaster calls your name and wants to see you in their office? Has that ever happened to anyone here?
Yep.
And what's your first immediate reaction?
I think
They're in trouble.
I think my face turned beet red, and I'm like, what?
And everyone in the classroom is looking at you, correct?
Yeah. And everyone, when you're walking down the hallway, is looking at you too. It's like, what did you do?
Yep.
I didn't do shit, but okay.
Dead man walking. Imagine 2 detectives come knocking at your door. Oh, Brendan, by the way, these 2 officers want to talk to you. So this is the report written by Mark Wiegert. Now, we're going to read the whole lot. It's only a short report. The reason why we want to read it is this is the perspective from a law enforcement officer. Now, remember, these reports are read by the judge, by the attorneys. So these reports are written in the perspective from law enforcement. Guys, you understand? Right?
Sure.
Not what actually transpired. So we're going to show you the contrast of what actually took place. Now, guys, Jack and Susan, are you happy to read 1 page each? We can alternate.
Oh, sure.
Yep. Jack 6. Yep. Sorry, Susan.
What was I going to say? I lost it. Maybe it'll come to me. Sorry.
Okay. So Jack 61, if we can start, this is the official report of that interview at school.
I know what I want to say. Embedded in this interview on the 27th, they have planted seeds in Brendan's brain for a lot that comes out later in his interview, I think.
Yep.
Okay, let's go for it.
You want me to start, Doc?
Yes, please.
Okay. Interview of Brendan R. Dassey. This is on February 27, 2006 at about 12:30 p.m. The report is written by Mark Wiegert. On February 27th, I, Investigator Wiegert of Calumet County Sheriff's Department, along with Special Agent Tom Fassbender from the Department of Criminal Investigation, went to Mr. High School to meet with Brendan Dassey. Upon arrival, Brendan did present himself into a conference room where we met with him. Prior to meeting with Brendan, we did inform Brendan that he was not under arrest, did not have to answer any questions, and did not need to speak with us. Brendan indicated he understood this and agreed to talk to us. It should be noted that the entire interview of Brendan was put on audio tape. Brendan was advised that the interview would be audio taped. The following is a brief synopsis of the first interview with Brendan Dassey. I have one comment here before I move to the next page.
Yes.
They noted specifically this is going to be put on audio tape. And rarely did this happen throughout this investigation. So this is
Well,
a
it was
clue.
the law. They just had that new law that came into effect for
Well, yeah,
juveniles.
that was in December. I understand. I get that, but not all interviews were audio taped that we're aware of. Then they should have
But-
been.
Well, it was only for juveniles.
For juveniles.
Yeah, the law.
Still, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
but the tragedy is this. Potential tragedy is this. Brendan could have just simply said, I don't want to talk to you guys. See you later. I'm going back to my class. Correct? Correct?
Yeah, but you got two intimidating guys like that. I don't know. And I'm
So-
sure, Brendan wanted to help.
Yep.
You know,
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So my point is this, right? Brendan saw no issue in talking with Fassbender and Uyghur because according to him, he had nothing to hide. Correct?
That's right.
Yeah.
So watch him get led down the garden path. This is the tragedy. Okay, let's go for it, Susan.
Brendan stated that on Halloween, 10/31/05, he had gotten off the bus at 3:45 p.m. and had seen her Jeep down at Stephen's house. Oh, really? Brendan stated he had gone into his house and played PlayStation for 2 or 3 hours. Brendan stated he then ate, and at approximately 8 p.m., he received a phone call from Stephen. Stephen had asked Brendan if he wanted to come over and have a fire, and Brendan stated he did. Brendan stated Stephen told him to bring the golf cart, which he stated he did. According to Brendan, they went driving around the yard to pick up several items. Brendan stated they dropped off the car seat by the fire and then went to get some wood and an old cabinet and then went back to the fire to throw the seat on the fire. Brendan stated that they then waited for the fire to go down and threw wood and an old cabinet on the fire. Brendan stated at that time he saw the toes before they put the wood and the cabinet on the fire. Oh my God. Brendan states Stephen saw him and that Stephen realized he had seen the toes, and Stephen and Brendan and Stephen told Brendan not to say anything. According to Brendan, Stephen had told him that he, meaning Stephen, had stabbed her, meaning Teresa, in the stomach, in the pit, and that he took the knife and put it under the seat of the Jeep.
All
That's
right.
a synopsis of that interview.
Yeah. So remember, this is I'll get you guys to say your comments in a second. So this is a synopsis. It's almost like going to church. If you've ever gone to confession, and Brendan is basically confessing, this is what happened, right? So first of all, there's no way he saw Teresa's Jeep near Stephen's house, right? Because the implications are that since Teresa arrived at about 2:35, what the hell is Teresa's Jeep or RAV4 doing near Stephen's place almost 1 hour later? Never happened. Blaine, who was with Brendan, never saw Teresa, never saw the Jeep, the RAV4, never saw Stephen either, right? Yes, he did change a few things, but in essence, there's no way. The very first statement is patently false. Then look at the absurdity of this. put it from your perspective of Stephen Avery. Say you committed this murder. You did murder Teresa Horbach. Are you now going to invite your 16-year-old nephew as a witness to your crime and then go, oh my God, did my nephew actually see toes? Did he see body parts in the burn pit? Oh my God. Oh, Brendan, please don't tell anyone. But not only that, then Stephen admits what he did to his nephew by stabbing Teresa Horbach. But notice where he stabbed Teresa Horbach, at the pit. You notice that? At the
Sure.
pit.
I did.
Not in the house, not in the garage, not at the burn pit, but at the pit area where the RAV4 was found. And notice one important point that Brendan said. Oh, he hid the knife under the seat of the RAV4. Comments, guys.
Oh my God, where do we start? I
Just
mean,
shaking my head.
to me as an investigator, I'm not going to speak for Susan, but I'm just going to guess that as an investigator, you're sitting there thinking this kid's feeding this information to you, and you know it's patently false. You know it didn't happen, and you continue with
Yes.
the interview.
Yes.
You move on instead of saying, Brendan, what really happened? What did you do? Stop playing around. Stop kidding
Yes.
around. Just tell us what happened.
Yes.
They didn't do that at all.
No. But what Susan said was very important. These guys were strategizing. These guys were planting seeds. They
Yes.
needed something to work on. You get
That's
it?
right.
They
That's
needed
right.
something to work on.
You listen to this interview, and Brenda did not just come out and say these things.
Exactly.
No, he didn't.
Exactly. So what I've done, I've actually put snippets of the actual interview between Brendan and Wiegert and Fassbender to compare and contrast his sanitized report to what actually transpired, and you'll be horrified.
That's why I said,
Yep.
and I get that, it's not necessarily the law that the police record every interview that they have with someone, but I think it's really important for comparison basis, for honesty, for truth,
Yes.
because what you're going to show is it's right in your face.
Correct. So the remember, Wiegert will say, Mr. Kratz, this is our report. This is what Brendan told us. The judge will be reading this. Oh, but Brendan, didn't you say this? Right? They're not going to go through an hour, 2, 3 hours of a transcript, except March 1st, which we're going to read the whole lot. They're going to look at these reports and go, oh my God, Brendan admitted seeing toes. So Teresa was actually in the burn pit, right? But it gets better. Susan, are you happy to read this unless we've got any additional comments?
Sure enough.
Okay, let's go for it.
Let's see, we asked Brendan why Stephen had done this, to which Brendan stated Stephen had said that he was angry. Brendan also told us that Stephen told him that Stephen had used a rope to tie her up in the Jeep. Brendan stated that Stephen had threatened him. Brendan also told us that he saw the fingers, the belly, and the forehead of Teresa in the fire. Brendan stated he believed that the body was all together and was underneath some tires and branches. Stephen had told Brendan that he hid the vehicle in the pit back in the tree area and put some tree branches on the top of it and put the car hood on the top of it. Brendan also told us that Stephen had gone into the garage and had taken some clothes and put them in the fire. Brendan described the clothes as a blue shirt and some pants. Brendan stated there was blood on the shirt and there was a hole in the stomach area. Brendan stated Stephen had told Brendan that it was Teresa's shirt. Brendan stated to us that when they were up north at the cabin, Stephen told Brendan that he was going to get a car and try to get it as far away as he could. That was a
Right.
brief synopsis of the interview.
Right. So
What a joke.
yeah. So in essence, we can spend 2 hours ripping this apart, and don't worry, we will de-engineer this. But to Fassbender and Wiegert, they're writing all this down as though it's a confession. Oh my God. So you saw toes, you saw fingers, you saw a belly, you saw a forehead. Oh my God, Teresa Halbach was in the burn pit, right? But look what Brendan said, right, Jack? Right, Susan? The body
That's right.
was all together.
All together. That's right.
Well, there's so many things in just this one little bit that they had to manipulate Brendan out of saying and get the story that they wanted. I mean, so many things in here.
Correct. Correct. So would you agree that they now had captured roughly an important fact?
Oh,
Stephen
absolutely.
admitted
Yeah.
murdering Teresa Halbach. Stephen admitted placing her in the burn pit. And Stephen admitted driving Teresa's RAV4 at the pit. And notice what Brendan said. They put tree branches and a car hood on top of it. Now, these guys must be thinking, oh my God, where is Brendan getting all this information from? Either he heard it from Stephen or he was there, correct?
That's
Correct?
right.
No, Brendan,
right.
Brendan wasn't arrested after this interview.
Now, this is the 27th, Danny.
The 27th, okay?
He wasn't arrested till the afternoon of the
First.
1st.
That's the first.
You know, they knew the car hood was not correct on top of the RAV. They knew that was already. They knew that was not correct.
Correct.
They
Correct.
knew there wasn't a knife under the seat in the RAV.
Not yet. Well, technically, yes, but I'm going to disclose to you what they did next in
Oh,
the oncoming days, because it's this interview and the next one set off a tsunami. A tsunami. It sent everyone scrambling. But here's the real tragedy. Brendan said, I saw the whole body whole. Surely they must have known that Teresa Halbach was actually dismembered. Her body was cut up to pieces. And they kept on suggesting this to Brendan, but he didn't bite because he had no knowledge. So you might be saying, where the hell is Brendan getting all this information from? And the answer is
They knew early on she was dismembered. They knew it.
yes, 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 they did. So Brendan was making up a narrative. And you might be asking, well, where the hell is Brendan getting all this information from? And the answer is from the media, in the newspapers, on
Sure.
TV, right?
His family.
Remember, his family.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids at school.
Yeah, people are talking about it all the time. And if you look at just this one paper that was published in December, right? December. This is months before Brendan was interviewed. You've got Peg Lockenschlader on the top saying, oh, yeah, we had an arson agent looking for remains in the fire pit area on the Avery property. You can't get it any more specific than that. What does Pam Sturm says? She goes, it was so unusual because there were branches laying across the vehicle and a car hood laying on it. Brendan simply mimicked and said the same narrative that's present on newspapers in the media. So tell me, from what Brendan said, did he provide anything unique?
No.
What's one piece of information that potentially was unique? That no one knew in the media? What was it? The knife under the seat.
Oh, the knife under the seat. Yeah.
Under the seat.
Sure.
Yeah.
These guys are writing it down going, holy shit, we missed it. We missed the knife that he used to either, well, they didn't know about the slashing of the throat, but to dismember Teresa Hallbuck or stab her. Because remember what Brendan said? There was a stab mark and there was blood on the shirt. And where's the knife? It's underneath the seat. Oh my God, they must have forgot it. So that's a unique piece of information. Only the killer or a co-conspirator or a witness would know. Now, if we have a look at the next slide, I've taken snippets of what actually took place, right? You look at Wiegert's sanitized report. You think, it's all beautiful. Brendan just simply confessed, no problems at all. So who would like to read Wiegert and who would like to read Fassbender?
Doesn't matter to me, Jack.
It doesn't matter to me. I can read Fassbender.
Okay. And Susan, would you like to read Wiegert?
Sure.
And I'll do Brendan. Okay. So now this actually is a transcript of the very first interrogation of Brendan at his high school. So guys, we'll read it, then we'll discuss it. Let's go for it.
You've had a tough go of it lately, I'd imagine, huh?
Yeah.
We definitely understand that.
We're not here to hurt anyone. We just, if you got a chance to meet Teresa's mother and stuff, you've got to know them a little, and you'd know that they were decent people too. And I think your brothers and your mom is, and people don't realize that because all the bad press and stuff, and that's all we're thinking about, just to bring justice, no matter how hard or how much it hurts for Teresa. This feels pretty awkward, but go ahead and tell us what's been bothering you.
You like the way they're setting up the stage?
Oh my God! You got a chance to meet Teresa's mother? Really?
Yep. So they're bringing family into it. So what their aim is guilt, correct?
Sure. Oh, yeah.
So did Brendan meet Teresa's mom?
No.
What the hell are they doing?
What they're trying to do is
if you got a chance.
Yeah.
What they're trying to do is to break Brendan down.
Break him down. Guilt him into it.
Remorse. They want him to cry. They want him to say, "Oh my God," But watch what Brendan says next. Right? Let's have a look at the next slide. So Fassbender, I just asked him, "What's been bothering you?" Okay, that he's gone, and I can't see him.
That Steve is gone? You're pretty close with Steve?
I helped him fix his cars and that.
Mm-hmm. I kind of figured that was part of it. Were you probably the closest to him as opposed to like your brothers and stuff?
Well, me and Blaine were...
Yeah, Blaine would hang around Steve for a lot too. Have you been able to go up and visit him at all?
Well, I tried, but I couldn't get in because I didn't have my identity cards.
Oh, you talked to him on the phone much?
No. Now, notice, it fucking backfired. Fassbender was thinking, shit, let's get this kid to open up. Let's get him to admit, what are you seeing? What is the first thing that he is concerned about?
Stephen. He misses his uncle.
Not seeing his uncle.
Yep.
Right?
You guys were close.
Yep. And even what did Brendan say? I helped him fix his cars. Right. And where are the cars? In the garage. Right? A garage or around the garage. The first words that came out of Brendan's mouths were, I miss my uncle. What the hell did he say to Baldwin and O'Neill? you're going to take him away again for 18 years?
Yep.
So that's what's been bothering Brendan and heavy on his mind. The first thing he never said was, I feel sorry for Teresa's parents. I feel sorry for what happened to Teresa. The first thing that Brendan says was, he's gone. I can't see him.
Right.
Right? It's exact opposite to what Fassbender was going to think and expect. So what does Fassbender do really, really quickly? Let's have a look at the next page. What does he hit Brendan with?
Yeah, here we go. How's your mom doing?
Pretty good.
Anything else bothering you?
Not really.
No, Brendan, we know that Halloween and stuff, and you were with him and helped him tend to a fire and stuff like that behind the garage and stuff, and anything that you saw that night that's been bothering you, and if you built the fire, and we believe that's where Teresa was cooked.
You want to read that again?
Oh my
You want to
God.
read that again? What he said to Brendan?
And
Jesus.
if you built the fire, and we believe that's where Teresa was cooked. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Yep.
And if you were out there by the fire and stuff, by your own words, you went and got that seat out of the vehicle seat. Remember that one? Brought it over and someone put it on the fire. Did you put that seat on the fire or him?
We both did.
Cannot believe that son of a bitch said that to him. I forgot about this.
Right? So this is the way to do a proper analysis. You compare the report written by Uyghur that's completely sanitized, then you look at what actually happened in the interview, in the interrogation. So you can see Fassbender and Uyghur are honing into Brendan. Imagine hearing that word where Teresa was cooked. Right? He's hoping for an emotional response from Brendan, like one of shock or disgust. Nothing. He just goes, oh, yeah, we both put the seat onto the fire. Right? Thinking, yeah, we were running around. We picked up all this stuff and we put it on the fire. But look what Fassbender cleverly is doing. Fire, burn pit, cooked.
Yep.
Oh, you
were there?
You were there. You put the seat on the fire with your uncle. Brendan goes, we both did.
Right.
Look what Fassbender says next.
How's your mom doing? Oh, wait.
Oh, the next page.
Hopefully I didn't. Oh, sorry about that. I know what the problem is. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Did you see any body parts?
Brendan, no response.
You know, if you think you saw something in the fire, and it's starting to bother you, you're feeling bad about it, the only way it's ever going to end is if you talk about it. I gotta believe you did something in the fire. You want to know why I believe that? Because Teresa's bones were intermingled in that seat. And the only way her bones were intermingled in that seat is if she was put on that, if she was put on that seat, or the seat was put on top of her.
Right?
Wow.
So notice there's no mincing of words. There's no fucking around. Fassbender immediately.
He's inserted so much out there, Doc.
Yep. He's basically saying, well, we believe that Teresa was cooked in that burn pit. Wait, didn't you just admit you and your uncle put the car seat in the fire? Yeah, we both did. See what Fassbender said to him? Well, the only way that her bones are intermingled with the car seat is because you either put the seat on top of Teresa or Teresa was under the seat. So what he
Yep.
did was he entrapped Brendan.
That's right.
With
He
a
did.
total lie, with a complete lie.
Yep.
100% bullshit lie. But Brendan's going, huh? What are,
Right,
you,
what?
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Right? So look at this. If we have a look at the next picture, like I said, we're going to time travel to fast forward. Can you believe that in Brendan's trial, they brought the seat to the courtroom?
Oh, yeah.
They brought the seat to the courtroom and they asked
Wow.
Pevito, the fight. Oh, this was all for dramatic effect. Because remember, they had nothing on Brendan.
Nope.
So this was a theater act. A theater act. They brought the seat in the courtroom. And people of the jury and the judge, and imagine Teresa's parents looking, oh my God, my daughter died on that seat or underneath the seat.
She was
Well,
cooked there.
she was cooked there. They asked Pevito, did you see any bone fragments or fat or tissue, present on the seat? But you burn a human being, you're going to find some organic matter on the seat. And I read what Pevito said. I quote, I didn't see any bone fragments entwined in that. Nothing.
Unbelievable. Nothing.
So Fassbender lied directly to Brendan in the hope of Brendan going, yeah, I saw Teresa there. Yeah.
So
we
is
put
it,
the-
so is he a witness or a suspect?
Yep.
See, right there's your
Yep.
dividing line. He's
Yep.
just entrapped him, as you said.
He
He's
trapped
not
him.
a He's not a witness.
Yep. He can't be a witness because if he sees a human being, an adult human female in the burn pit, and he helps his uncle put the seat on top of Teresa or Teresa on top of the seat and they burn it, man, you're a co-conspirator, correct?
That's right.
So Fassbender directly lied to Brendan, but it didn't stop there. Susan, would you like to read what Kratz actually said in court about the seat? So now we're going to fast forward to Brendan Dassey's trial. For dramatic effect, this is what Kratz said in his opening statement.
Can you hand me that puke bucket over there first?
Yep, we can hear. Do you see the slide? A2F?
Yes, I do. Can you hear
Let's
me?
go. Yes.
Brandon says that a car seat was thrown in the fire. Do we have evidence of that? Can we prove that? Can we corroborate that evidence? Absolutely. We will show you, and in fact, we'll bring into this courtroom the remains of that burned car seat. Two-man job, ladies and gentlemen. 2 people required to throw that car seat to carry that particular metal grave car seat.
Holy shit.
Puke.
Unbelievable.
Notice what he called it, guys. Metal grave car seat. That's
did.
how
Oh my
Teresa
God.
Yep, that's how Teresa got cremated, by the use of the car seat, right? And unbelievable. Brendan said, yeah, me and my uncle, we put the car seat in the fire. And now they bought the car seat in the courtroom. And guess what Kratz said? 2-man job.
Oh, Jesus. This is just
2-man job. So notice, by doing what we've just done, we've been able to look at the past, what during the interview, and we fast forwarded to the future, how Kratz used that information to entrap Brendan. Now, for Brendan, in his mind, hey, wait a minute. Yes, I was there. I helped my uncle. We put the car seat just to burn it. But they used it, they weaponized it to imply that Stephen and Brendan cremated Teresa Hallbach. When they asked Pevito, well, did you find any bones, any bone fragments entwined with the seat? No. not even organic matter that would fall down and embed on the car seat. Nothing. But
Nothing.
notice how they were clever and strategic to rope in a kid, a 16-year-old kid who did nothing wrong. But it gets worse than that. Do we have any comments, Susan?
I'm just sick. Doc.
Oh, don't worry, it gets much worse. You're gonna
I know that.
at the end of this podcast, you're going to be furious by what I found out, right? So now, Fassbender and Wiegert have got Brendan exactly where they want him. He's at the fire. He's picked up the seat. They've placed it on the burn pit. Now they need to hammer into Brendan, right? Should we have a look at the next slide, please? Jack, are you happy to read that one?
I am.
Okay. Now Fassbender is working on Brendan.
This is back to the 27th, Doc.
Yeah, this is now back at his high school. So they got Brendan to admit that he picked up the seat, put it on the fire. Now they need to work on Brendan. Let's go for it.
All right. As I said, we're not going to say you did, and we're not going to say you didn't. We're not here to. We're here to give you the opportunity to come forward and talk to us about what you did see, encounter out there that night. We want to know a lot. A lot of the reason that we're doing this is because how old are you? 16, 17? You're a kid, and we've got people back at the sheriff's department, district attorney's office, and they're looking at this now saying there's no way that Brendan Dassey was out there and didn't see something. They're talking about trying to link Brendan Dassey with this event. Really. They're not saying that Brendan did it. They're saying that Brendan has something to do with it or the cover up of it, which would mean Brendan Dassey could potentially be facing charges for that. And Mark and I are both going, well, he's a kid. He had nothing to do with this. And whether Steve got him out there to help build a fire and inadvertently saw some things, that's what it would be. It wouldn't be that Brendan actually helped him dispose of this body. And I'm looking at you, Brendan, and I know you saw something. And that's what's killing you more than anything else, knowing that Stephen did this. It hurts. Whether it was an accident that Stephen did by however it happened, he's got to deal with that. Truthfully, I don't believe Stephen intended to kill her. I don't know how it happened. Only Stephen knows how it happened. And potentially you. Do you know how it happened? What did you see in that fire?
Oh, I wanna strangle Fassbender.
Of course.
Yep. But notice, guys, we are your friends. We are your confidant, right?
Yep.
Hate him.
Yep. So tell us what you know, right? But here's the strategic line that Fassbender told the truth. And this is critical. And I'll repeat it. I don't know how it happened. Only Steve knows how it happened, which is proof positive. Two things. They had no idea where Teresa Hallbart got murdered because they had no forensic proof in the garage or the trailer. Agree? Because Fassbender's even admitting, I don't know how it happened.
Nope, but they had a pretty good story to work up.
They sure did.
And who's providing the story?
Fassbender.
Brendan.
Okay.
Yeah, Kratz eventually did, but it's Brendan. Brendan is giving them the narrative because they've got nothing to arrest Brendan with because they got the forensic evidence. They did all the swabbing. They did all the DNA analysis. Any signs of Brendan's DNA? Nope. Nowhere.
That's why I said they knew early on. Let's just take the date we know for sure that we've got a document. I know that it was earlier, but early November they had Brendan there. and they didn't do anything.
No,
Nothing.
I mean, their narrative is right here in what Brendan Fassbender had to say. They're giving him hints. They're telling him what he needs to tell them. They already have their scenario. They just need Brendan to actually say.
no, to acknowledge it. To acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Which is
that's
exactly
why I said the 20th when they talked to Kayla. It's the 27th now. And he's just sit there and admitted they're back there at the sheriff's office, the prosecutor's office. They're talking about you. They took that week and worked this shit out. I'm convinced of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And remember the simple phone call? Remember the simple phone call? Oh, we now know what happened. He burned her in the burn pit, left a small pile of bones, and we're finding piles of bones all over the place. So the crime scene has been expanded. That's their working scenario. That's their working scenario. But the critical clue is this. They don't know how Teresa got murdered, where Teresa got murdered, because their gathered forensic evidence is making no sense. So now they need the story to be told by Brendan, right? Brendan has to acknowledge that Teresa's body is in the burn pit. Agree?
Yes.
That's
absolutely.
what they want to hear.
That's right.
Right? Small pile of bones, big pile of bones, they don't care, right? They've got no in situ photographs of the burn pit, right? They only got the cremains they gathered in that box. That's it. They're finding piles of bones everywhere else. So they need Brendan to fill in the story. So in their brains, they're going, how are we going to coach him? How are we going to coach him? Right? And this is how they did it. Right?
I just want to say this about Barb. She made a comment. Yeah, we understand, Barb. It's really difficult.
I don't blame you.
We knew going into this it was going to be hard, like really difficult. But I think it's important. I think Doc does. I think everyone does that has read this stuff, really read it, and listened to the various. It has to be said, and we're trying to go as deep. We're going as deep as we can, and we understand it's hurtful. We do.
But we completely understand that you don't want to hear it again.
It hurts all of us. But the world has to know the techniques and strategies used on Brendan.
Yep.
Because unfortunately, Barb, your son is not unique. This has happened to thousands of kids prior to Brendan and after Brendan. People have got to realize and learn the message of how destructive this is. And no care was shown by Fassbender and Wiegert, and gets worse. They dangled the hook. Brendan bit. He's an innocent kid, and they hammered him for it, right? And so what our aim is to expose this so people who are in the right places are able to do something about it. My daughter is the same age as your son, Barb, and I know the pain I would feel if I didn't see my daughter for 18, 19 years being locked up for something that they never did. But this story must get out. And what we're doing, like I said to the panel, we're leaving no stone unturned. We're not going to do a 5-minute podcast. People need to know the strategies used by adults who are meant to be smart on an intellectually disabled kid. Susan.
Well, I mean, they do it on adults that are
low
that
IQ.
are intelligent. I mean, these techniques are so successful that they can pretty much get anybody to confess to murder.
Correct.
With this, I'm going to say it, this fucking read technique. It needs to be outlawed completely.
Yes. It doesn't matter whether you're intellectually disabled or a university professor. The
Yeah.
whole idea of the read technique is to psychologically break you down, to choke and suffocate you. And the strategies that they've got in place is, Brendan, we are your friends. And I'll prove it to you. They led him down the garden path. Remember the picture of the mouse sitting on the trap? That's
Yep.
what they were doing, right? Unfortunately, the trap is not set by Fassbender and Uyghur. The trap was set off by Brendan himself.
And the
Because
balls of that fucking judge that said,
Yes.
well, he
Yes.
was in a soft room,
yes,
you know, they didn't
Yes.
yell
soda.
at him.
Yeah,
Yes.
you had soda and sandwiches and
They know better.
Yep.
God damn it.
Correct.
and
Correct.
and again, Brendan is supposed to be a witness here,
Yes.
not a suspect. That's the whole. That's another
Yeah,
premise
right.
that was just a
Another
lie.
lie.
It
Yeah.
was
Correct.
just a lie.
100% correct. So if we have a look at the next page, Fassbender now continues, right? Let's go for it.
Okay, let me get over here. Okay. Yeah, I know how hard this is. You know that you saw him put some garbage bags on, but I can look. I can't see in your eye, but by your look, I can tell you know of something. You saw something or somebody. Something's laying heavy on you. We wouldn't be here bothering you if we didn't know that. We've gotten a lot of information, and you know, some people don't care. Some people back there say, no, we'll just charge him. We said, no, let us talk to him and give him the opportunity to come forward with the information that he has and get it off his chest. Now, make it look, you can make it look however you want, really care. Tell us what you knew. That way you don't have to feel bad for Stephen. You have to tell the truth. You have no choice in that. Someone had killed someone, and like I said, I don't think Stephen intended to do it, but it happened. He still has to pay the price for that. I hope you understand that. He didn't do the right thing. How are you going to live with yourself the rest of your life knowing what you know?
Okay. Yep. So they're drilling into him, right? You know, you're harboring. Remember what O'Neill said. He knew more than what he's saying. So they're working on the promise. They're working on the premise. Let's break him down. So now, look what else Fassbender says to him. He's now going to appeal to Brendan's emotion. And the way Fassbender does this, Fassbender becomes the surrogate father.
It's
Let's-
like feeding candy to a baby.
Yep.
That's what they're doing here.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, let's continue.
And
This is
I've got
Fassbender.
and I've got kids somewhat your age. I'm looking at you and I see you in him and I see him in you. I really do. And I know how that would hurt me too. I know how much he would hurt because of what he did know and how he felt for the person and what he saw and what he knows. I'm not here, like I said, I'm not here to. I'm not here to give you. I'm here to give you the opportunity to get this off your chest. Mark and I, yeah, we're cops, we're investigators and stuff like that, but I'm not right now. I'm a father that has a kid your age too. I want to be here for you. There's nothing I'd like more than to come over and give you a big hug because I know you're hurting. Yes, I do want to give justice to this and to the hall box too. You want to tell me what you saw and what you heard because I know that is something. It's intensely bothering you. Talk about it. We're not just going to let you high and dry. We're going to talk to your mom after this, and we'll deal with this the best we can uh, for your for your good. Okay, let me read that again. We're going to talk to your mom after this, and we'll deal with this best we can for your good. Okay? I promise we will not let you high and dry. I'll stand behind you.
Wiegert says, we both will, Brendan. We're here to help you.
Okay. So they're becoming the surrogate dads, you know.
Yep.
Confess, no problems. We'll talk to your mum. We'll sort it all out, right?
Got kids your age, and I just want to come give you a big hug and tell you it's okay. And
Yeah, so it's giving Brendan an assurance, you know. Hey, don't worry, just get it off your chest. We'll sort it all out, but we need to hear the words, right, guys? We need to hear. Okay.
That's
Now
right, 'cause
compare
I
this
had-
already to that summary report.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Exactly. So the next picture, to me, when I was reading all of this image came to my mind straight away. Would you agree? They trapped him. They set the trap.
Venus flytrap.
Yep, the
That's
Venus flytrap. They
Yep.
set the jaws just went around Brendan. Now, for students who read and study the read technique, Fassbender and Uyghur are following the read technique perfectly. Brendan now was in a position where he simply couldn't get up and say, "That's it. I don't want to talk to you guys anymore. I want to go." He was now obligated to go along. Would you guys agree? After that big spiel, Brendan hasn't said a word. He's just sitting there. He now
Well, yeah.
feels obligated.
Of course, he's just a child. He does not know what they're doing. He has no idea.
Yep.
Not a clue.
Yeah,
He's trapped.
These
He's
long narratives, Brenda's just sitting there.
He's a kid.
Right.
Yeah.
They said he doesn't like being with people. He likes being by himself. His language skills are not very advanced. These guys are going boom, 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 boom. They're firing off at him. They're also looking at his body language, right? And he's just probably sitting there just like a zombie, not reacting at all. So what do? They hone into him even more, right? We have a look at the next slide. Let's go for it.
It's not your fault. Remember that.
Yeah, it's not your fault. Like I said, Mark and I are not going to leave you high and dry. I got a very, very important appointment at 3 today. Well, I ain't leaving for that appointment until I'm sure you're taken care of. Telling the truth. Get this off your chest and get it out in the open. So go ahead and go ahead and talk to us about what you saw in the fire. You're killing fire or killing you right now. What you see, go ahead. You've got to do this for yourself. I know you feel it's gonna hurt Stephen, but actually gonna help Stephen come to grips with what he did, with what he needs to do. More important, this could help you. How long you think are you gonna put up with this? We found some flesh in that fire too. We know you saw some flesh. We found it after all that burned. I know you saw it. Tell us. You don't have to worry about. You don't have to prove you. You won't have to prove that in court. Had a phone call. Tell us what you saw. You saw some body parts. You're shaking your head. Tell us what you saw.
All right.
Oh my God.
So could Brendan just simply say, "Guys, I've had enough. I want to talk to my mum. I want to organise a training."
I wish.
He could have, but he didn't have that function in his brain. That wasn't there. That wasn't an option for him.
Yep. Now I want to ask people in chat: could you, being Brendan, with his vulnerabilities, could you have walked out? Could you have said, "I've heard enough, boys. I don't want to talk anymore. I want out." Anybody in chat could survive that type of interrogation? I know I couldn't. I couldn't.
Not with Brendan's suggestibility, vulnerability. He's introverted. He's not street smart. No way.
Yep. He's toast. Now the hammer is going to fall? Let's have a look at the next page. This is what does him in. Brendan, no response.
You all right? You all right? What other parts did you see?
Toes.
Part of a foot too. What other parts of the body? Did you see part of the arm, the legs? I know it's all right. Did you see part of her head's skull?
I seen.
Oh, okay. A human body. Did you see? Did you say anything to Stephen? Was he hoping you didn't see that or what?
Brendan, no response.
Where? The body parts that you saw, were they on top of the tires or underneath the tires or?
Brendan, no response.
Unbelievable. Keep going.
Oh, they're excited now. He said toes.
Yeah, oh yeah. He said toes. Okay.
Pardon?
Bottom of tires.
Underneath the bottom of the tires?
Brendan, no response.
Could you smell them?
No. Right.
Oh my
So
God.
So let's get this straight, right? Let's get this straight. He's got a burning human being in front of him. He put the seat on top of Teresa Horbach, or Teresa Horbach on top of the seat. Hey, it's Cherie, right?
Hello.
How's it going?
Hey, Cherie.
Very well.
Hey,
Hi.
Hey, Cherie.
Awesome. So they now got him to the point where Brendan has now admitted seeing toes in the fire. So the first question they asked him, because they're not stupid, could you smell them? And what does Brendan say?
No.
Oh,
Tires, not a body burning.
Tires, burning body. He couldn't smell any. This is his first response. No, right?
Right.
Now, someone who hasn't smelled a burning body will say, no, I don't know what a burning body smells like. Someone that has smelled a burning body will say, yeah, it smelled really bad, right? Immediately, right? So here's
They
the
always
question.
say they'll never forget it.
I'll never forget it. But clearly, Brendan had no idea. He goes, no, right? So this is his first time he's been asked this question, right? Fassbender and we go writing all this down, right? So here's the question. Was Brendan Dassey actually coerced in a false confession? Was he an actual witness to a brutal murder? Or was he an actual co-conspirator? However, I think you would agree, the Fassbender and we get, who's just now interrogated Brendan, they've only got two things in their mind. Brendan, mate, you're either a witness or you're a co-conspirator. Agree? Would you guys
Yep.
agree?
Absolutely.
But now
I
they've
think
got
they have one thing on their mind, and that is
Well-
to get Brendan locked up and charged.
correct.
So
Correct.
they can get this is all going after Stephen. That's what it's about.
Yeah.
Correct. It's to lock in Stephen, but now to drag in Brendan, because they're thinking, wait a minute, you're 16 years old. You didn't tweak in your brain that burning a human being is not a good thing. You didn't run away and call the police immediately. You've kept all this to yourself till February the 27th. You get my drift, what these guys are thinking. They're going, fuck, you kept this all to yourself. Why are you protecting your uncle, or were you involved?
That's right.
Now they've got Brendan as well. And who said the toes? Brendan. But they're telling him, oh, did you see body parts? We know you saw body parts. You must have seen this, until he caves in and goes, I saw. Of the most innocuous part of the human body, what does he say? Toes.
Forehead, toes, and then
Yeah.
eventually forehead, I think.
Yep. Correct. So now, if we have a look at the next slide, So now that they've completed the interview, they've got what exactly they set out for. They now know that Brendan Dassey was at the burn pit, helped his uncle put stuff on the burn pit, and Teresa Halbach was burnt in that burn pit. So now they finished their interview. No, this is the end of the interview. Cherie, do you see the slide? She may have stepped away. Okay, she's probably just stepped
Yes,
away.
I can. I'm sorry.
Are you able to read the slide? So this is Wiegert finishing off his report. Okay, let's go for it.
I then requested Brendan to fill out a written statement, which Brendan did and signed both of the written statements. It should be noted there are 2 pages of written statements. After Brendan finished with the written statement, Special Agent Fassbender contacted Brendan's mother, Barbara, and requested that she come to the high school to meet with us. It should be noted that Brendan requested that he be able to go back to his 8-hour class, which he was allowed to do. Brendan's mother, Barbara, did show up at the school, at which time an interview was conducted with Barbara. For more information on that interview, please see Special Agent Fassbender's report. At approximately 1500 hours, Brendan did return to the conference room. We then asked Barbara and Brendan if they would be willing to go to Two Rivers Police Department with us to do a second videotaped interview. Both Brendan and Barbara agreed. We then gave them a ride to the Two Rivers Police Department. We arrived at the Two Rivers Police Department at approximately 15 hours. Upon arrival at the police department, we asked Brendan and Barbara if Brendan would like Barbara to sit in the room during the interview, and also asked Barbara if she wished to sit in the interview. Barbara stated that it was not necessary for her to sit in the interview room, and Brendan stated he did not care if his mother was there or not.
Okay, so Susan.
Don't believe that. I don't believe that for a second. That's a freaking lie.
I don't believe it either. Not one word.
Are you talking about Barb? No, being asked?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
No, that's not necessary.
Yep. So now they've got Brendan admitting that he saw body parts. They're talking with Kratz. They're talking with Kratz, right? They're communicating with Kratz, and Kratz says we need to memorialize this. That's why they now take Brendan and Barb to Two Rivers Police Station, because they need to memorialize it. Remember, they're talking with Kratz, right? We read his book. This is exactly what transpired. They wanted to memorialize this, but notice what they did. They now, after the interview, they call Barb. They didn't call Barb first to say, we're going to talk to your son. They called Barb afterwards. Now, we're going to actually read Fassbender's report, because what they do now is they work on Barb. These guys are ruthless. They now work on Barb. So, guys, what we'll do, we'll read a page each. Are you happy with that?
Yep.
Sure.
Yep. So, Jack, would you like to start off? So now this is the report. This is what happened after they called Barb. All right? Let's go for it, Jack 61.
Okay.
So Brendan's gone back to class.
He's gone back to class.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He's just admitted seeing a burning human body, and he goes, can I go back to my class? I think it was on geology. It was about rocks. So he goes, can I go back to class?
Sure.
After admitting he saw a burning human body, I need to go back to my class now. Right? So they call Barb. This is what they say to Barb. Okay, let's go for it, Jack 61. We'll do a page each.
Okay. On Monday, February 27, 2006, at 2:37 p.m., Special Agent Thomas J. Fassbender and Investigator Mark Wiegert of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department met with Barb Yanda at the Michigan High School. Fassbender had telephoned Yanda on her cellular phone at her place of employment. He asked Yonda to come to the Michigan High School to speak with the investigators about an interview they had just conducted with her son, Brendan Dassey, who was a student at the high school. Details of that interview will be documented in a report prepared by Investigator Uyghur. Upon meeting with Yonda in a conference room within the administrative area of the high school, she was advised that she was not in any trouble and could leave at any time. She was advised that the investigators had spoken with her son, Brendan. She asked what Brendan had told them, and she was advised that he had advised that he had helped Stephen the night of October 31. She was advised that the assistance included helping with the fire that Stephen had built, and during such he had seen a body in the fire and was told by Stephen that the body was that of Teresa Hobach and that he had killed her.
Okay. Put yourself in Barb's shoes. You
Yeah.
just heard that news. How are you going to be feeling?
Furious.
Freaking out.
Heard.
And,
Yeah.
and Brendan's not present. too.
Nope.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Nope. Okay. You would be absolutely furious and devastated.
That
Susan,
too.
would you like- yep.
Heck
Susan would
yeah.
like to be page 2. Yep. You'd be shocked.
Yonda was told that it was very evident to the investigators that it was extremely difficult for Brendan to talk about what he had seen and what Stephen had told him. Yonda was told that Brendan had done the right thing and needed her support. Yonda indicated that prior to the information just provided to her, she'd been somewhat in between and undecided as to whether Stephen had killed Hobach. Yonda was asked if Brendan had previously told her any of this information, and she said he had not. She commented she wished Brendan had come to her with the information. Yonda said she was not aware of Brendan telling anyone the information he had just told the investigators. Yonda said lately she's been letting Brendan go by his friend away from the house more. She said Brendan doesn't have a lot of friends, and now she's been letting him go more. She said in the past he didn't leave the house very often
Okay.
because he had Stephen around.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. Oh, we got some feedback. All right. So the whole idea of this, in my opinion, is to convince Barb of her brother's guilt.
Oh, absolutely.
And Barb, being the mother, is obviously going to be speaking to the rest of the family to say, oh my God, Stephen killed Teresa. Look what my son just said. Correct?
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep. Correct. Okay. We'll put up the next slide. I think I'm reading that one. Yep. Okay. At about 3 p.m., just after Brendan's 8th hour, he returned to the room where the investigators were meeting with his mother. They were asked if they would accompany the investigators to the Two Rivers Police Department for the purpose of Brendan giving a videotaped statement pertaining to the information he had just provided. They both agreed to do so. Both Yonda and Brendan were transported in Investigator Uyghur's vehicle to the Two Rivers Police Department, where Yonda remained in the lobby area while Brendan provided his statement. They arrived at the police department at about 3:15 p.m. and left at about 4:07 p.m. See Investigator Uyghur's report regarding the statement. Yonda told the investigators that after the investigators telephoned her at work, she had been telephoned by her brother, Earl Avery. Yonda had been told by Investigator Uyghur that the investigators wanted her to remain with them and that she and her family would be provided a motel room for the evening, if necessary. It was explained that the investigators and law enforcement wanted to re-interview her family members, and they wished that she did not have any contact with them. It was explained that they wanted to protect the integrity of any information received from them.
That is a custodial interview after
Yeah.
or situation. That's
And
custodial.
I take it that Earl gave them her cell number because he called her right after.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. This is phenomenal. Hey, this is what your son said. Oh, we've got to make sure that you and your son don't talk to anybody else because we need to, wait a minute, protect the integrity of the information.
To me, Doc, everyone, to me, this is nothing short of it's really illegal kidnapping. That's all it is to me. I can't imagine law enforcement coming to me and my family and saying, hey, we got to get you out of here, put you up in a hotel because we don't, we got to protect the integrity of the investigator. Well, did they do that with anyone else? No, not
No.
one person, not one person. And they
Yeah.
talked to hundreds of people.
Yes. And remember what Barb said? Barb said that if we had moved from the hotel, we'll be arrested.
That's what she said they told her.
Yep.
You can't leave.
Yep. Correct. Unbelievable. Okay. Can we have the next slide? Oh, sorry, Susan.
This just making me think that Candy and Earl knew this was going to happen.
I think so.
I do too.
I think so.
I do too.
I feel certain of it.
They knew that they Fassbender and Uyghur were going to make Barb and the boys stay. Was that what you mean, or that they were going to go after Brendan?
That they were going to go after Brendan.
Okay.
And that Earl calling Barb at work, that seems unusual. Right after the investigators had called her. I mean, were they with Earl? Was he present when they called her? Oh no, they were at the school.
No, but remember they spoke to Earl's daughter, Kayla.
Yeah, a week prior.
I think Earl was probably heard, shit, we need to talk to Brendan again. And I reckon that's when it tweaked that the investigators went to the school and spoke with Brendan, right? And it's very interesting.
Maybe Brendan told Kayla at school that he had just been interviewed. And
possible.
Kayla may have called her dad.
That's possible.
And told him somehow Earl knew.
Yep.
I'm more devious thinking than that, and I'll tell you why. And it all starts with the name that starts with C.
Candy.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because she had been in contact with Fassbender all along. We don't know how many contacts but there are some that are absolutely tracked, but I feel certain
she was out to get Stephen for Marie.
That's right.
Payback.
And she didn't give a F you know what if Brendan got roped in. She did not care.
No.
Well, unfortunately was a means to an end, right?
Yep.
But let's have a look at the next slide because it actually gets very interesting. Cherie, would you like to read that one?
Okay. Upon leaving the Two Rivers Police Department, they went to the Mishicot Fire Department where they waited for the other special agents and investigators. Upon his arrival, Sergeant Bill Tyson stayed with Yonda and Brendan to include getting them something to eat. While waiting at the fire department, Yonda received some telephone calls on her cellular phone. She advised one of the calls just after 5 p.m. was from Earl Avery. She did not take that call. She also received another call from her boyfriend, Scott Taddick, and she spoke with him for a short period of time and did not provide any detailed information to him on what she was doing.
Interesting. So Earl is making multiple calls, wondering, what's going on. But notice she didn't tell Scott about what happened to Brendan. She kept it quiet. Interesting. Because remember when they were questioning Barb ages ago, Barb did not want to disclose who her boyfriend was.
No, she didn't.
Yeah.
Interesting. And if we dovetail into the future, two of the biggest critics of Stephen was his own brother, Earl, and his ex-sister-in-law, Candy, who appeared
Right.
on Convicting a Murderer.
Complete 180 from where it started in the beginning.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So now, if we just advance the narrative, now they've got Brendan exactly where they want him. So the investigators, they're talking to Kratz. They tell Kratz what Brendan told them. And Kratz goes, right, I want you to re-interview him on videotape and get it memorialized, whatever it's actually called.
Memorialized.
Right? Memorialized, right? Almost me trying to say corroborate, right? So he now is in the Two Rivers Police Department. Now, think about it. He's just been interviewed by Fassbender and Wiegert at school. He's now taken with his mum to the Two Rivers Police Department. He's placed in there, right? Now, would you feel comfortable being in that room? Look at it. It's like a prison cell. It's barren, right?
Hell no. Hell no.
Right? Now, you now know you're in deep, deep trouble because we'll go over just little snippets of what actually transpired during that interrogation session, right? But he's got no adult guardian with him. Apparently his mum is outside and Brendan said, I don't need my mum. He's got no legal representative. And now Fassbender and Wiegert have to work fast, right? They've got Brendan at the boil. They need to work really fast. Now, if I was in Brendan's shoes, I would feel very intimidating, right? Now, Brendan's not in his place where he's comfortable with at school. He's now at their place in the police department. This is foreign to him, right? Guys, do we have any comments? All right. So if we have a look at the next slide, this represents what actually took place. Susan, do you see that slide?
Yes, sir.
Would you like to read it? So this is the closing of the report. What happens to Brendan next? Okay, let's go for it.
At approximately 15:21 hours, Special Agent Fassbender and I met with Brendan alone in the interview room at Two Rivers Police Department. Prior to speaking with Brendan, we did read him his Miranda rights from a waiver form that was provided to us by Two Rivers Police Department. Brendan agreed to waive his rights and speak with us and signed the Miranda form. It should be noted that I did read him the Miranda form and explained it to him. Brendan did initial both areas of the Miranda form. A copy of that form will be included with this report. At that time, we did begin interviewing Brendan and informed him that the interview was being taped. For more information on the second interview of Brendan, please see the videotape. After finishing the interview with Brendan, we did take Brendan back to the Mishicot Fire Station, where we met with several other detectives. We did make arrangements for Barbara and Brendan to stay at the Fox Hills Resort on the night of 2/27/06 for their safety. Investigation continues.
Right now, they got him exactly where they want him. Jack 61, did you have a comment?
Yeah, they were in danger. Danger, Will Robinson. What a load of bullshit. They let him go the next day and didn't go talk to anyone and say, you need to leave Barb and Brenda and Blaine alone. Nothing.
Yep. Okay, now you think about it. You're Brendan's mum. You're shell-shocked at hearing these revelations, what your son just admitted to. You're not thinking straight, right? Have a look what Mr. Kratz wrote in his book about this event, right? If we have a look at the next slide, Susan, I hate to do this to you, but can you read this out? This is Mr. Kratz in his book, what he said.
Sure, Heather.
Thank you.
To shield Barb and her children from intimidation, officers invited the Yonda family to stay at a local resort, Fox Hills, many miles away from the Avery compound in Michigan. It's not that far away. It seemed clear that Ma and Pa Avery cared about Stephen and Stephen alone. They would sacrifice their grandkids in a heartbeat, I thought, rather than give up their freshly exonerated son to the cops. Barb agreed to stay at Fox Hills for the night. For fuck's
Hello?
sake.
Hello? So Ma and Pa, who obviously love their grandchildren, would, notice the word he said, would sacrifice their grandkids to protect Stephen. And
That's where
Barb agreed to stay at Fox Hills, Jack 61.
And that's where Kratz come up with the sacrificial lamb video that
Yep.
we got.
Yep.
And this is what they were shielding them from, talking to Ma and Pa what had gone down that day.
Yep.
Because Stephen's mom would have put an end to it.
Yep.
I think.
Yep.
Yeah, the
So
lowest
now-
probably would have been raising about 14 kinds of hell.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got you.
And Pa, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is what they showed Brendan. This is the form that they showed Brendan, right? Now, I'm not an attorney, but Cherie is, right? If we look at the next slide, this is what they showed Brendan, and he signed it, right? Your rights and a waiver. Now, what we're going to do, we won't read this, but we'll read what we get said to Brendan, right? So this is the form. You can blow it up in your own time and read it. But the your rights and waiver are legally very important. Cherie, can you explain a little bit about the importance of this particular form, your rights and the waiver? Why is this form so important from a legal standpoint?
Well, just because if you sign the form and then still talk to them, then they can use whatever you say against you in a court of law, which they did. That's basically it. I don't know if you want more or not.
No, that'll be it. So what I've got, so Brendan signed it, you see the X. What we're going to do is just spend a little bit of time going through what actually happened at Two Rivers. Now, you're 16, you're mentally challenged. This is what we get said to Brendan. Brendan's sitting there, right, in silence. Susan, you read Wiegert. You want to continue reading Wiegert?
Sure, Dove.
Okay, let's go for it.
All right, Brendan. One thing I'm going to ask you to do is when we start talking, you're going to have to speak up right now, like I am. So the mics, they won't pick up real well. But before we ask any question, Brendan, I have to read you your rights. It's just what we have to do, okay? Steps, okay? Before we ask you any questions, you must understand your rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used against you in court. You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before we ask you any questions and have him with you during questioning. You have this right to the advice and presence of a lawyer, even though you cannot afford to hire one. We have no way of getting you a lawyer, but one will be appointed for you if you wish. and if and when you go to court. That's such bullshit right there.
Yep.
If you wish to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you have the right to stop answering questions anytime. You also have the right to stop answering questions at any time until you talk to a lawyer. I have read the above statement of my rights. I understand what my rights are. I'm willing to answer questions and to make statements. I do not want a lawyer. I understand and know what I am doing. No promises or threats have been made to me, and no pressure of any kind has been used against me. Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
You have to speak up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
Then if you agree with making a statement, I need you to sign right there. And if you want to read it, you can read it there. Why don't you put your initials here and put your initials here? These are the two things I read to you. Okay, and I'm just going to put the place up here. 2 Rivers Police Department, and the date is 2/27/06, and the time is approximately 3:21 p.m., okay? Let's put that over there for now. Brendan, just a few things, okay? We're going to talk about what you had initially told us earlier, okay? Can you state your first name with middle initial and date of birth?
Brendan Ray Dassey, and then 10/19 of 89. Okay. Now, I want to ask a controversial question. From a legal standpoint, the chit chat that they had at the school, did it have any legal standing?
No. I think Cherie and Susan and
That's
probably
why they
everybody-
say. That's why
Yep.
they say he wasn't a suspect, or yeah.
So it was,
But no-
from a legal standpoint, it was good as hearsay because I
That's
never
right.
read him his Miranda rights, nothing.
That's right. They got a little ahead. I think they made a mistake and got a little caught up in the action, so to speak. And
Yep.
That's why Kratz wanted this to happen.
Exactly.
he knew
Oh.
they'd screwed up.
Yep. So what I've got just a snippet from that interrogation at the police department. This is the critical bit that they wanted to hear. Okay. Shall we continue reading? We get, and I'll do Brendan.
Did you see anything else in the fire besides toes?
A hand and forehead and her belly.
Did it look like she was in one piece? Or did it look like she was chopped up? Or what did it look like?
In one piece.
When you say you saw her belly, how do you know it was her belly?
I looked some fat or something.
How did you know it was her forehead?
Because there's like some jiggly lines on it.
Unbelievable. What?
Right. So that's the important part. They needed him to repeat that he saw body parts in the fire, and they've got it memorialized. He's as good as screwed because he's there, he's helping, and he admitted seeing body parts. Right. So in the meantime, all hell broke loose. There are phone calls going everywhere. They're going, holy shit, Brendan just admitted seeing body parts, right? So now in the background, they're phoning everybody because they've got information that Brendan is telling them. They now need to act on the information. So remember when they said that Bill Tyson was with Brendan and Barb? Don't worry, stuff was happening in the background, right? So who would
This is
like to
the
read?
dumbest thing I ever heard of. I mean, the way that rap had already been torn apart.
Yes, correct. But to Fassbender and Wiegert, they're phoning Pagel, they're phoning Ken Kratz, they're phoning everybody. Quick, we've got to act super quick. They get in contact with Bill Tyson, right? Who would like to read this out? This page, we can share it. Who would like to read page 1?
I can.
Okay, let's go for it.
On Monday, February 27th, 2006, at approximately 1500 hours, I, Sergeant Bill Tyson of the Calumet County Sheriff's Department, was notified by Sheriff Jerry Pagel that there was a new development in this investigation. Sheriff Pagel did request that I assist the investigators with the ongoing investigation. Sheriff Pagel informed me that the information he received was there was possibly a knife under the front seat of Teresa's vehicle. I did respond to the location of Teresa's vehicle with Deputy Jeremy Hawkins. Other officers present were Investigator John Dietering, Sheriff Jerry Pagel, Investigator Wendy Baldwin, and Investigator Gary Steyer. At approximately 16:15 hours, Deputy Hawkins did remove the lock to the door where Teresa's vehicle was being stored. At approximately 16:17 hours, Deputy Hawkins did open the front door to Teresa's vehicle and did enter to look under the front seat for the knife. Deputy Hawkins informed me he did not locate any knife under the driver's seat of Teresa's vehicle. We then went to the rear of the vehicle and opened up the latch to the back of the vehicle and did not observe any knife in the rear portion of Teresa's vehicle. Deputy Hawkins also checked under the front passenger seat for a knife and was unable to locate a knife. All doors to Teresa's vehicle were closed, and we did exit the storage facility at 16:26 hours.
Right? Now, you have to admit, guys, is this the most insipid, incompetent crime scene investigation you've ever seen? They get Teresa Hallbach's RAV4 in the crime lab, swabbing, taking pictures, taking stuff out of the car. Are you trying to tell me they didn't search the car from top to bottom for potential weapons? Jack 61, your blunt and bloody object.
Well, that and they found blood underneath the back seat of the car. So you're telling me they didn't look under the front seats of this car? Are you kidding me?
So now they've admitted on Brendan's recollections, oh my God, there's a knife in the car. How the hell did we miss it the first time round? They go, look how fast it took to get to the car. Same day. Same day as Brendan.
Within an hour or so.
Yep.
Of Barb arriving at the school.
They admit, and look how many people ran to the car, how many investigators ran out to the car. Hawkins,
5 of them.
Dietering, Pagel, Baldwin, Steer, and Tyson ran to the car. Shit, what did we miss? So what they're doing here, guys, is they're going, oh my God, Brendan has said all these things. Can we back it up with forensic evidence? Agree?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because, guys, would you be here? Would anybody be here if they found a bloody knife in the RAV?
No.
Nope.
We're talking about another case.
So evidently this had to be before the FBI took the car apart.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Oh,
And
yeah,
did
months
all that.
before.
Yes.
Months
And
before.
perhaps that's why they did that.
Looking for an impression of a knife
Yeah.
Well, maybe, but
or outline of blood?
did they not even consider what the crime lab had done? It's like they just didn't believe it.
Yep.
Why?
Remember, guys.
Why? You know why, Jack.
Well, I do, but I'm saying.
Okay, but remember, after the March 1st, they go back and they swab the hood latch, right? Because everything they're finding, it's not matching what Brendan is telling him, but it gets worse, right? So they scramble to the RAV4 thinking, oh my God, we missed a murder weapon. How can that possibly be? Right? Right? So they go, they check the car out, no knife. Okay. Susan, would you, no, Jack 61, would you like to read the next page, please?
I will.
Yep. Awesome.
I then responded to the Mishicot Fire Department to meet with Investigator Wiegert and other investigators working on this investigation. Upon arriving at the Mishicot Fire Department, I was informed by Investigator Wiegert that he did wish for me to stay at the fire department with Barb Yonda and her son Brendan Dassey. Arrangements were ultimately made for Barb Yonda and her son Brendan Dassey to go to Fox Hills Resort for the evening. Investigator Wiegert did transport Barbara and her son, Brendan, to the Fox Hills Resort, and I did follow. A room was secured at the Fox Hills Resort for Barbara and Brendan until interviews could be completed by the investigators. That's interesting.
Mhm.
Investigator Deering did telephone me and did request that I ask Brendan if he observed Stephen's burn barrel burning on Halloween night of 2005. Investigator Dietering also requested that I ask Brendan if he saw Stephen with an edged weapon or if he had seen him shoot a .22 caliber gun.
Okay.
Plant another seed.
Yep, few more.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yep. So they're all going, Teresa was dismembered. Is there some type of edged knife or edged weapon or something like that to chop up the bones? And wait a minute. Later on, they discover about the shooting incident in the head. They're asking, is there a smoking burning barrel? Did Stephen Avery fire a weapon? They're now all behind the scenes trying to get all these factors into play, right? But Jack 61, you noted a very important point for investigators to complete their interrogation of Brendan at Fox Hills.
Right there.
Right? Yep. And that did happen. And I've got the report, right? We talked about it the other day, right? So there was more questioning done at Fox Hills. So in the background, they're scampering all around. Deirdre's saying, oh, ask Brendan all these questions. Did this happen? Did this happen? So let's have a look at the next slide. Susan, would you like to read this one?
Sure, Doc.
Yep.
I'm curious why they're all meeting at the Mishicot Fire Department.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's where they had. Yeah, that's where they also did their meetings as well. Their press
I
conference.
know that's where they did all the press conferences, but that was back in November.
True.
right. I don't know.
I just find that a little strange.
I did want to mention. I did want to mention one more thing because at the end there he asked about did you see Stephen shoot a .22?
Yep.
They knew because I remember researching this, and unless I missed something, I think this is correct. They knew in November that one of the skull pieces had
Yes, they did.
beveling.
They did.
They found out right before this date here, 4 months later, whatever, at the end of February, that there was a second skull fragment that also had beveling. They knew.
Yes, they did. And I'll show you the report as well. Because this set off a tsunami.
Yep.
The investigators talking to Brendan on the 27th triggered off a firestorm and everything came into play. And now what they're trying to do, what the investigators are trying to do, which we'll see on March 1st, is put it all together and package it all together, right? And as you see, it became a shit show, an absolute mess. Why? Because Brendan had no idea what he was talking about. But the investigators were wetting themselves with excitement, going, oh, ask him about this, ask him about that. So let's continue. Thanks, Susan.
Upon speaking with Brendan, I asked him if he observed Stephen's burn barrel burning on Halloween night or the next day, and Brendan informed me he did not recall that. Barbara also informed me she could not recall if the burn barrel was burning on Halloween night or the next day. I asked Brendan if he had seen Stephen with an edged weapon on that evening, and Brendan told me he did not. I asked Brendan if he had ever seen Stephen shoot a .22 caliber gun, and Brendan told me he did not recall at any time seeing Stephen shoot a firearm. Sergeant Bill Tyson, CC to the district attorney.
Yep. So with all this fart-assing around and running around by up to 6 people, look at what they found or didn't find. No knife found in the RAV4. So a major element that Brendan said, that Stephen hid the knife underneath the seat, no evidence at all. Neither Brendan nor Barb recall seeing a burning barrel, Stephen's burning barrel. Brendan said, I never saw Stephen with an edged weapon. I never saw Stephen firing a weapon, right? The .22. So all the things that the investigators were coming up with, it all hit a wall. It all hit a wall. Do we have any comments?
Planting more ideas in Brendan's head.
Thank you.
Yep.
Exactly what I was going to say. They're
Yep.
inserting case details to this kid.
Yep. And what did Kathleen Zellner say? Brendan was just another plant.
Yeah. They
And
tricked him.
that's exact. What they're doing is they're spoon feeding him the facts that they want to hear. But what happened next is going to make people really, really angry. Really angry. All right. Cherie, would you like to read this? I wasn't fully aware of this until I unpacked it, and it is shocking. We're nearly finished, guys. We're nearly done. Let's have a look. This is what Kratz wrote happened next at Fox Hills, but didn't spell it out. Right? Let's go for it.
But is this live stuff?
No.
Can't know for sure.
No. We are. Jack and I found a DCI report, and I'll mention where I got the information from. You are going to be blown away what happened next. Right? So now the family's at Fox Hills. So let's go for it.
Later on that evening, Brendan surprised Special Agent Fassbender when he reported seeing a dark reddish liquid on his uncle's garage floor, as well as a bag of what he thought were Teresa's clothes. Stephen Avery, Brendan said, had asked him to help clean the garage floor with bleach and paint thinner. When Brendan explained that he had also helped gather wood and tires to throw on the big bonfire that evening, the two investigators knew that Brendan could likely provide important details regarding the timeline of the crime and his direct observations of the fire. And when he admitted seeing toes and other body parts in the fire on October 31st, Brendan Dassey morphed from being just another wayward young person on the property to perhaps the most critical witness against Stephen Avery.
Now I'm thinking to myself, what's Brendan talking about? This dark reddish liquid.
Oh, yeah.
I'm there. I looked everywhere for that term. Couldn't find it.
Where's the recorded interview?
Exactly. I'm there. Where the hell did Agent Fassbender come up with? And the answer is he went to Fox Hills with another DCI agent, another agent, and they interrogated Brendan again at night time. And remember, you're not going to believe this, but you know who told Fassbender about the bleach on the jeans? You know who it was?
Barb.
Barb mentioned the jeans.
Well, Barb is believing that Stephen did this and he roped Brendan into helping him.
That's right. She's been led down the garden. she's been led down the path, the garden path too.
So
Yeah.
Barb goes, yeah, that's right, Brendan. You had stains on your jeans. The investigators going, what stains on your jeans? Oh, I helped my uncle clean this dark reddish liquid, right? With clothes. Fassbender's going, in his mind going, fuck. Did they clean up Teresa's blood? What transpired next, you're not going to believe. So in court, so now we're going to fast forward to the trial, because they're going, how the hell did this all come about, right? So this is Kratz talking to Fassbender, right? So Susan, would you like to read the question, which is
Sure.
Fassbender? And Jack 61, would you like to read out the answer, which is Fassbender?
Sure.
Right, let's go for it. So this is in the trial, Brendan Dassey's trial.
And at that time, was the topic of any bleach or bleach stains brought up?
Yes, it was.
Describe for the jury how that came up, please.
Well, sorry. Well, I received information about Mr. Dassey having some bleach stains on some jeans, and that being a result of cleaning Stephen Avery's garage floor. Acting on that information, I went to the motel where Mr. Dassey's mother and his brother were located, and I inquired about that. And Mr. Dassey advised that, yes, he had some jeans that he was wearing that evening on October 31, 2005, when he was assisting Stephen Avery in cleaning up a garage, Stephen Avery's garage floor, because it had some stains on it. When asked what he had thought he was cleaning up and the color of those stains, he described them initially as dark red, but he believed that they were oil stains from some vehicles or such. On further speaking with him, he described the stains as red in color because the rags of the clothes that they were using to clean up the stains appeared red on the clothes. When asked what he used to clean up the stains, he advised that they initially tried gasoline. That worked a little, and then they used paint thinner. And that may have worked a little more, he thought, and then ultimately they used bleach on the garage floor to finish the cleanup. He said that the rags that they used to clean up the substance, Stephen threw in the fire that was going behind in a burn area behind Stephen Avery's garage. And again, when asked him about what he thought the substance was, if he thought it could have been blood, he said, yeah, he thought it could have been blood. And said, when asked, what do you think to this date, which would have been February 27th, he believed it to be blood.
So let's unpack this. Let's unpack this. Brendan never said that he cleaned up the garage when he talked to Fassbender and Wiegert, correct?
That's right.
Barb, being convinced that his brother killed Teresa, said, oh, by the way, my son came home and he had bleach stains on his pants, right? And they're going, well, how'd you get these bleach stains, Brendan? Oh, I helped my uncle clean up the garage. What did you note on the garage floor? Oh, I saw a red stain. I thought it was oil. And Fassbender convinced Brendan, well, could it have been blood? Yeah, I suppose it could have been blood. So now the narrative is Brendan was cleaning up Teresa's blood using her clothes, and Stephen threw the bloody rags of Teresa into the fire. So out of something innocent, like Brendan goes, I thought it was motor oil. It's now blood, right?
Yep, that's right.
What did Kayla say about blood and concrete.
Blood coming up. Can blood come up through the concrete?
So these guys are going, holy shit, Teresa must have been killed in Stephen's garage. Get it?
Yep.
Oh, Brendan said, oh, could have been blood. But did Brendan actually ever say it was blood that he was cleaning up? What? No. What does Brendan faint at the sight of?
Blood.
Blood. And you trying to tell me that he's now cleaning blood, human blood, on the garage floor, helping his uncle and not passing out or fainting? Right?
Or getting sick. Yeah, I agree.
Or getting violently ill. Now, Brendan's attorneys in the trial are going, this looks pretty sus. So look what they say to Fassbender. This is Edelstein. I'll do Edelstein. Cherie, would you like to do the answers, which is Fassbender? So this is Edelstein talking to Fassbender in Brendan Dassey's trial. So I'll make a start. Question. And during the course of that conversation you had with Brendan, you're talking to him about an incident where he had some bleach stains on his pants, right?
Oh, correct.
And you got around talking to him about what he was doing in the garage. And you talked about cleaning up some red stuff.
Yes.
Okay. And the truth of the matter is, Mr. Fassbender, that during the course of that conversation with Brendan, the first person to use the word or to suggest that it was blood on the floor was in fact yourself. Does that, just wait for the next one, does that sound right?
Yes, that sounds right.
All right. It wasn't Brendan who said, I thought I was cleaning up blood, right?
That's correct.
You asked him, could it have been blood? And he simply said, could have been, right?
After he described the color, yes.
Okay. So you asked him if it could have been blood. And he said, yes, it could have been, right?
Something to that effect, yes.
So, fucking hell. Brendan never said, I was cleaning up blood.
It was fed to him.
Brendan said, I was cleaning up oil from a car that it leaked. I was helping my uncle. And that's where they got the paint, gasoline, and paint thinner story from. They tried different things to clean up the garage floor. Fassbender now introduced into the narrative blood.
That's right.
So what did the investigators do? They fucking jackhammered the garage floor looking for what? Teresa Hallbuck's blood. Did they find one drop of Teresa Hallbuck's blood anywhere in the garage?
Not one molecule.
So what did they need to tie Brendan in? What bullet did they need to tie Brendan in?
Item FL.
Item FL. Right? And then when item FL was proven to be just junk, didn't contain blood, didn't contain tissue, brain, nothing but wood and red paint, Kratz came up with the hypothesis that Teresa Hallbuck was shot on the concrete in a fucking bulletproof tarp.
Yep.
I kid you not.
Yep.
And Fassbender, on convicting a murderer, showed the trajectory of the bullet that the trajectory of the bullet
Oh my God.
was shooting at a dead corpse on the ground like a sniper. And the
I can't
bullet
believe they did that.
grazed Teresa, grazed, and it navigated around a toolbox and lodged underneath a green compressor, and said that on convicting a murderer, and it made the magic bullet that happened on November the 22nd, 1963 in fucking Dallas, Texas, seem legitimate.
And he said that with a straight face.
Straight face.
I mean, give me
Straight
a
face.
fucking break.
Straight
Jesus.
face. That's the
Dumbest
second
thing I
magic
ever
bullet.
saw. Yeah.
Because seriously, they're going, shit. We got a bullet that's got no blood, no tissue, no hair, no skin, but it's got wood and red paint. How the fuck did it get Teresa Halbach's DNA from? I know. The bullet didn't hit her in the skull. It somehow grazed her and landed on concrete dust for months, and it gave a robust genomic DNA profile of the victim. Case solved. Teresa Halbach's garage.
As it was sliding back to the
Correct.
corner or under the compressor, sorry,
Correct.
it picked up little bits of wood and red paint off of the garage floor.
Correct.
That's a theory. That's a theory I
Correct.
heard from a
Correct.
guilter.
Yep, correct. And Haig showed, in fact, Kathleen Zellner showed, that in order to get the wood embedded in the bullet, you need the bullet to strike the wood high velocity, high impact, straight from the barrel of the gun. It didn't hit a human, then magically bounced, because there's no bullet strikes on the notice. There are no divots on the concrete to show that a bullet bounced and then somehow lodged into wood and somehow fell behind a green compressor, right? And Kathleen Zellner demonstrated that in order to get the wood embedded in the lead, you have to shoot the wall straight from the barrel. And Haig proved that a .22 bullet hasn't got the energy to go through the skull. Right? So
No way.
no way. So Kratz had to come up with the theory of the bulletproof tarp.
So where'd the beveling come from?
Exactly. So in other words, the beveling came from bullets that they never found. They never found, because they never, even though the beveling had flecks of lead from the bullet, they never associated idomethil with the cranial bone fragments. They couldn't, because idomethil never struck bone. Because Haig showed that any .22 bullet going through bovine scapulars of the same thickness as your skull always embeds shards of bone. Despite putting those bullets in a solution to extract DNA, the shards of bone remained in the bullet. So Culhane never washed them out. So therefore, he proved using trace analysis that there was no chemicals that make up bone. Idomethil was not a bullet that struck Teresa Halbach in the skull. Idomethil was never a bullet that killed Teresa Halbach. So now the state can't go, oh shit, if we abandon idomethil, we got nothing, literally nothing. So you think, what is the outlier, the two outliers in the entire case? The key and the bullet. What did Fassbender ask Culhane? Try to put her
in the house or garage.
In the house or the garage. The key placed Teresa Halbach indirectly in the house. The bullet placed Teresa Halbach in the garage, even though it's the biggest laughing stock evidence in the entire world. Any other investigating body, imagine giving this to the FBI or Scotland Yard. They'll laugh their heads off. But in Wisconsin, it's solid evidence, right? So now you saw this is crucial about the blood on the garage floor, because if we continue, we got, I think, a couple of more slides left. Okay. So what I did, I'm there. Okay. Brendan said that he was helping his uncle clean up fluids that leaked from a car or a vehicle in the car. Now, I've used transmission fluid, power steering fluid, everyone has. And guess what? You can go to any internet site and it even tells you the color of these transmission fluids. They appear red to brown. If the transmission fluid is relatively new, it's a bright red color, right? As it gets older, it turns darker, a darker red color. That's transmission fluid. Power steering fluid also is red in color, right? And depending on its age, it can go a darker color. And Brendan goes, it was a dark red, right? So I thought, okay, let's have a look at the next slide. Lo and behold, have a look at the top picture. If I didn't tell you what that was from, what's your immediate thought in your mind?
Well,
Blood. Yeah,
Oh.
oily, but it's also got the color of
Transmission fluid or power steering fluid, one of the
Yeah.
two.
Yeah, but it also looks reddish in color. It looks like blood, right? You look at
Yep.
the picture down below, that's human blood on concrete.
Yep.
They're both similar in color, right? And if you look to the right-hand side, you see where number 6 is. You see the reddish color. If you blow that up, that's what Brendan was cleaning up with his uncle. It was all over the place, right? And they're referring that. They thought it was blood, right? And of course, they tested it. There's no blood, right? And when luminol, guess what luminol reacts with? Bleach, but also potentially some car products as well because of the metal that's present in the transmission fluid, right? And other oils. The luminol reacts.
It reacts with iron, right?
Yeah, correct.
And
correct.
If people don't know, as your engine, your transmission, anything metal like that, you always get bits. They're tiny bits that wear.
Yes, correct. That's why a lot of the engine components and oil pan has got a filter to filter out the metal bits.
That's right.
The trouble is, these guys, the CSI team, they were spraying all over the garage, and all this luminol was lighting up, thinking, "Oh my God, what do we got here?" And then they ask Erdl, "Well, what does luminol react with?" "Oh, can react with bleach, can react with oils, anything that's got metal in there." What do you think is in Stephen Avery's garage? Right? Fluid on the ground from car. And Brendan said, Stephen, I think, snipped one of the lines and it dripped and we were cleaning it. Right? So you look at just transmission fluid. It's reddish in color. If you put a rag on top, what color is the rag going to be? Red.
It's going to be red.
So
I also think that it's slippery. Which is, I think, the reason that Stephen cleaned it up.
Yes.
So that it wasn't slippery. I wondered about that for a long time. Why the hell would Stephen care about cleaning his garage floor?
Well, you'll track that shit everywhere too, and it will stain.
Yeah.
It will not come out.
Yeah, I don't think he cared much about stains if you look at that floor, but
it is.
But yeah, I guess you could track it in the house or whatever.
Yeah.
But and I think it would be slippery as well. You
can actually see on the right-hand side, see the shoe prints? That's probably Brendan's shoes.
Yeah.
See because he put his foot in the oil as they were trying to clean all the transmission fluid and he was walking all over the place.
And as far as I know, they never tested Brendan's shoes for DNA or anything.
No.
They had them.
No, they had them. So somehow Fassbender got into the official record that Brendan was cleaning up blood. But what I found next, it did it for me. it tore me apart because Fassbender, and I'll read it out. This is a transposition of the official report filed by Special Agent Fassbender and Lewis, dated February the 27th. These two investigators went to speak to Brendan and Barb at Fox Hills, right? And they wrote a report.
I don't think I've ever heard of Lewis.
Yep. I wasn't aware of this. I found it on Tracy Keogh's website, and a big shout out to Tracy. Go to her website, Freedom for Brendan Dassey, and I read this on there. Here's the DCI report. Jack 61, do we have it in our library? It's 051776.
I'm sure it's there. Everything I have is in the library. 244.
What I read next, I was speechless. Do you want to, Jack 61, you want to read the next slide? It's
Sure.
probably one of the most important statements Brendan has made. I'll just get that up. If you got it, Jack 61, I think it's slide R2.
Yep.
This is what Fassbender never disclosed. Let's go for it.
Special Agent Fassbender asked if the substance on the floor was dry. Brendan advised some of it was dry, while other parts of it were damp. Fassbender asked Brendan if he had asked Stephen what the substance was, and Brendan said he didn't. Fassbender asked if Stephen told him, and he said no. Fassbender asked Brendan what he thought it was, and he advised he thought it was oil from a car and indicated it smelled like oil.
You want to read that again?
Fassbender asked Brendan what he thought it was, and he advised he thought it was oil from a car and indicated it smelled like oil.
It smelled like oil.
Yeah. It's got a distinctive odor.
So they never disclosed that Brendan said, fuck, it smelled like oil.
No.
They never disclosed that.
Fassbender asked if Brendan remembered what the dry portion of the substance looked like, and he advised he could not. Unreal.
So this is crucial. Brendan said it's oil and it smelled. You're right. Those fluids from a car have got a distinct smell. If you
especially once they ran for a bit, you got 4,000 or 5,000 miles on that oil or transmission fluid. It doesn't matter. You can smell them. They're very distinctive.
Yes. Blood has a distinct metallic smell because due to the iron, it smells like a copper coin. Brendan told the truth. He said it was fucking oil or from a fluid from a car that they were cleaning up. And somehow it got transposed to human blood. Right? He smelt it. He didn't say, oh, I thought it was, he smelt it was oil. They never disclosed that in the court.
No.
And there it is in that report. And I'm there, oh my God. The whole narrative is made up by the investigators.
And Fremgen and Edelston never saw this report, apparently. No. The copy that we've got, it's really pretty crappy if you try to read the actual copy. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yep. So Tracy actually typed it all out on her website, right? So quite clearly, Brendan was correct. He was correct, right? What they were cleaning up was material from a car. It wasn't human blood. And what backs Brendan up? The fact that they never found one drop of blood in the whole entire garage, despite removing 15 feet of concrete, several inches deep, and doing extensive swabbing. They never found one drop of Teresa Horbach's blood. So the whole narrative is all bullshit. And Brendan told the truth. That report, guys, was from the evening of February the 27th. And Brendan told them, I smelt the oil. Susan, are you disgusted?
So these are DCI agents, right? That are at Fox Hills
Yes.
talking to Brendan.
Yes.
Where's the fucking recording? Where is the recording? There's got to be one. I'll bet you any money there is one.
They asked Brendan a barrage of questions.
Instead, we're reading their words.
Yes. Correct. But as soon as I saw that, I thought, oh my God. See, this is another form of evidence, right? You know that when blood has been spilled, over time, it's going to congeal, it's going to dry, and you're correct, because he talked about the fact that the stain was semi-dry, was dampish. You're correct. It's dangerous. You can slip. That's why Stephen wanted to clean it all up. Otherwise, you're going to transfer it all over your home, right?
Well, Doc, we all know it wasn't blood. We all know that.
But
We
Fassbender,
know Teresa was not killed in that garage.
Yes, but they're saying that she did. She was there. Why? Because Brendan cleaned up her blood using her clothes.
Right.
That's what they introduced. And it's bullshit.
Yes, exactly.
And Brendan told them on the 27th, smelt like oil. Smelt like oil. You know that if you smell blood, it's distinct.
It's called, what's it called? Investigative bias?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because the investigators showed they've got no proof of Teresa being inside Stephen's trailer anywhere. A cadaver dog went in there, did not hit in the master bedroom, hit where Stephen bled in the sink on the floor. They never brought in a cadaver dog or a scent dog in the garage. And the argument is, well, there was no body there, right? But if there's blood, a cadaver dog's going to pick it up and would have picked up Stephen's blood. They did extensive testing. They never found one drop of Teresa's blood in the garage. This now makes the entire narrative so fucking dodgy and shaky. What is that kid doing in prison?
To get Stephen.
Hit him.
Pawn to get Stephen.
Correct. But if you go back, if Stephen did this, it wasn't on his trailer, in his trailer. It wasn't even in his garage.
No.
It couldn't have been.
No.
Right? So one little thread at a time, the whole house of cards is collapsing. They left that out of the trial. They left it out.
Confirmation bias. Thank you, Cherie.
Yep.
That's what I was trying to say.
Well, it's just a damn shame that Edelstein and Fremgen didn't go through these reports and catch 244 and see what Brendan actually told him. That could have been brought up, and all that could have been rebutted.
Yep.
Harshly at trial.
Correct. So their whole premise, Teresa was shot in the garage 11 times, blood everywhere. Oh, they cleaned up the garage because they had to get rid of the blood, is baseless.
All rubbish. Crap.
All complete crap on a vulnerable child who went along. Oh,
and well. It all started with just a simple statement from Kayla.
Yeah, from Kayla. Correct. So now we're almost finished, guys. Now all hell's about to break loose. Can we have a look at the next slide? We're nearly finished, guys. So now they question, all right, the question we get, Fallon questions we get, says, all right, what did you do next? After you've spoken to Brendan several times that went on the 27th and at Fox Hills, what are you going to do next? Right? So Jack 61, would you like to read Fallon? And Susan, would you like to read We Get the Answer?
Sure.
Yep. Let's go for it, guys.
All right. After meeting and interviewing Mr. Dassey on this day, February 27, what was your thinking?
Oh, did Susan have to leave? I think, yeah, she might have. I think she might have left. Yeah, I think she had to do something.
Okay.
Do you see the page?
Yes.
Okay, would you like to read out the answer?
Well, at that time, that's the first time Brendan places himself at the crime scene, is during that interview, places himself at the fire. So we decided that we needed to interview everybody else that lived on that property, and we needed to do that right away to see what other people knew. We didn't know if other people knew about this at that point or not. So we decided that we needed to conduct a lot of interviews.
Did you have any feeling as to whether or not the defendant had told you everything that he knew at that time?
My feeling was no, he didn't. That he knew more, because every time we would talk to him, he'd give you a little bit more, give you a little bit more. And again, that's the first time he placed himself basically on that crime scene.
That's bullshit.
All right. Yep. So now they got Brendan where they want him. They got him involved in the crime scene. So Brendan now places himself at the crime scene, and he's seen parts of Teresa Horbach's body. Furthermore, at Fox Hills, Fassbender convinced him, well, was that solution that you were cleaning? Could it have been blood? Oh, I suppose so. It looked red. Even though Brendan said, no, it was oil and I smelt it. Right? So it's amazing that now everyone needed to be questioned again. My final comment is this. Yes or no? And people in chat. If Brendan never said a word, never, and he wasn't arrested, would the investigators and Kratz be clueless as to what happened to Teresa on October the 31st, 2005? Jack 61.
Yeah, they couldn't have pulled this narrative together from all these different threads, and it took a week and started working their plan. No way. If he'd just said, I'm not talking to you, got nothing to say. Thank you.
Yep. Correct. And they had nothing on Brendan. No forensic evidence.
Yep.
Zero. And Stephen wasn't saying anything, right?
Nope.
Nothing at all.
Nope. No.
I think Susan, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm back.
Do you think the investigators would have worked out what happened to Teresa and where?
I think Kratz would have made up another fairy tale.
Yep.
Some sort.
But he couldn't back it up. And what you said to me still haunts me. Why didn't they go for Cuss Road? Didn't they go for Cuss Road?
Right.
I do think Susan said something that I also believe if this hadn't worked, they would have done something else to have tied this. I don't know what.
He killed her at the quarry at the Manitowoc County gravel pit.
Well, yeah, that's very possible.
Possibly, yeah.
Yep. But then they had the embarrassment saying, "Shit, why would he bring cremains back to his burn pit?"
And the RAV4. Why would he do it?
Correct. So they're stuck. No other narrative. In fact, the narrative that they've gone with now, it doesn't work either.
No.
Right? But notice what we're doing is we're knocking down the cards in their narrative, one card at a time. All right. What about you, Cherie? Do you think the investigators would have worked out what happened to Teresa if Brendan never said a word?
I think it would have been harder. Anyway, appeared that it would have been harder because people, even, in the town seemed to be more doubtful before. And then when Brendan, when they got Brendan, then a lot of them fell, it seemed. But again, like Susan and Jack said, they would have come up with some other scheme. Yeah, I believe.
Correct. But Brendan would have been home. He would have been home. They had nothing
Yeah.
on him.
No.
He would have been on. So it's remarkable now. Then they're now going to question everyone again. So we're talking about February, March in 2006, where the investigators spoken to everyone. Now they're completely clueless, and now they need to question everyone. So next week's podcast, guys, what we're going to do is see the domino effects that led up to March 1st. And we're going to read the entire March 1st interrogation. We have to, because a report is not going to cut it. You need to hear. And would you guys agree? Us reading out the little snippets from the interrogations really brought it to life. Would you agree, guys? Rather than just reading a report.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That
And,
crystallized
being able to, look forward at a report, look backwards at what was actually said is completely enlightening. It's best to tell it this way.
Yep, definitely. All right, Jack 61, if we can have a look at the next slide. So what I've done, and I'll read it, I've summarized the main points of this particular podcast. So I'll read it. After the investigator spoke with Kayla Avery, Fassbender and Wiegert interrogated Brendan Dassey at his high school and then at the Two Rivers Police Department. Neither Brendan's mother nor a lawyer was with Brendan when he was interrogated. Brendan admitted seeing toes and other body parts in Stephen's burn pit, effectively placing him at a crime scene involving the disposal of Teresa Hallbach's body. The investigators kept Brendan, Blaine was there as well, Blaine and their mother at Fox Hills for one evening to protect Brendan from his family and the integrity of the investigation. Fassbender at Fox Hills believed that Brendan had cleaned up blood on Stephen's garage floor. Brendan thought that it was fluid from a vehicle, and in actual fact, even said that it smelt like oil. The investigators were going to re-interview members of the Avery and Dassey families. Right? So now it's all ramping up. And so Jack 61, if we can have a look at the final slide, I think this podcast can be summed up with this. If you can't dazzle them with brilliance, baffle them with ball. Would you guys agree? That's exactly what Fassbender and Wiegert did to Brendan. Completely overwhelmed him to the point where Brendan just had to get out and told him what they wanted to hear. But they used that to entrap him.
Yep.
Completely agree.
Unbelievable. And the thing about the fact that he has smelt what he was cleaning and he said that it was oil, really homed it for me at how dishonest and how disgraceful these investigators were, all to get Stephen. Yeah.
Yeah. When you asked me about that report last night, I was thinking to myself, yeah, I'm pretty sure there is a DCI report about that. And I kind of had to, run that time frame, but it didn't take me that long to find it. And I was like, shit, I forgot what he had actually said.
Yep. And that's why we're doing these deep dives. We're not doing a 5-minute job. We need to deep dive. Once we deep dive, then you can see the shenanigans of what happened to that poor kid. They just blew him away. They really did blow him away. All right. Well, look, guys, I hope everyone enjoyed the podcast. We covered quite a lot of stuff. Do we have any questions, Jack 61, from the our audience?
We do. Give me just 1 second here. Trying to find
Susan, did you have any comments?
No, Doc. I'm good.
Okay.
Okay, let me get that. And I apologize to everyone out there. I tried to highlight the questions that as we went along. If I missed your question, I apologize. So I've only got one screen I'm working with. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. So if I can put these on screen, Susan, if you can read them out, that would help me. Or can you do that? Let's see.
Yes,
Here's-
yes,
Yeah.
Jack, I
Oh.
can.
Okay. All right. Here we go.
Was Brendan supported by an adult at any of the multiple interviews? No.
No, he was not.
No.
He had no.
Nobody
Even
with
when
him.
he had no. Well, I mean, well, the May 13th one, he had O'Kelly in there working against him,
On the
helping
other
to
side.
help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Help. And then when they took a break, he's telling them what to go in there and ask him that would hurt him and not help.
Yep.
He had no one in his corner. No one.
No adult supervision at all. And in actual fact, I'm not quite really sure whether it would have helped having his mum there. But
I don't think so. Myself.
no, she would have been horrified hearing what Brendan was disclosing.
Yep.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, give me just 1 second here. There we go. Let me get back to the screen. Okay, next question coming up to you, Susan.
Hi all. Hugh Frazier. Has there been any news of ex-FBIer Steve Moore's interest in the case, and more particularly that of his wife? They seem very Brendan Dassey focused. Haven't heard from either of them in a very long time. What was his wife's name, Jack?
Michelle.
Michelle. Yeah, they were awesome. But no,
Yeah,
no
it's been.
news.
She used to DM me. It's been a long time now since I've talked to her on Twitter. He kind of dropped out of the case. Steve did, but she kept following and pursuing. She followed us, and I'm sure other content creators as well. But she was very interested in the case. But I haven't seen or heard from her in a long time.
Yeah. She's
Okay.
really sweet lady.
Oh yeah, very, 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 very nice.
Yeah.
All right, next question.
Is the SWH 582 license plate a 95 to 99 base 1 series? How can that be Teresa's? No idea, Anthony.
Yeah. Me neither.
Maybe these guys know.
I can't answer that. Sorry.
Yep.
I mean, I've got the Carfax report on Teresa's RAV. I can't remember what. It's pretty detailed, but I can't remember what all it says.
But he's asking about the plate.
As in the plates not being legitimate plates for that particular model, right?
Right. Because there was 2 series of the RAV. The short version, which was a small 2-door, it was really pretty small, and then Teresa's version, which was the 4-door, 5-door actually.
Yep, with the back. Yep.
Yeah.
But what's that have to do with the license plate?
Because I think he's saying that the SWH 582 was associated with the short wheelbase, the base 1.
Oh, I see.
I can't answer that. I'd have to look.
We know Teresa had a four-door car, right?
Yes.
Yeah, from her photos.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether. Yeah, I'm not sure whether Henbury has spoken anything because he's done a massive amount of work on the RAV4. That I don't know whether he's mentioned anything about dodgy number plates.
I don't remember anything, but it's been a while since I've read the series, but I just don't recall anything. But I will try to find that Carfax report to see what it says.
Yep. But quite clearly, if Kathleen Zona can get access to the RAV4 and the plates, a lot of questions can be answered.
Absolutely. I hope that happens.
Yep.
Next question.
Post-interview number 1. Brendan goes home and tells a parent what's occurred today. So why would Brendan ever talk to cops again without support?
Well,
he didn't go home. He went to Fox Hills.
Yes, they took him straight. They took him from the school to the police station, then to
Two
Fox
Rivers.
Hill.
Yeah, Two Rivers
They-
is
To the fire station.
Two Rivers.
fire
Yep,
station.
yep, correct. They deliberately did not want him to talk to any family member.
No.
Spend it, and we get even
Except
said
for his mom.
Yeah.
who-
correct.
Who
They
they
called
took
him.
in and,
They called him. Correct.
fed her a bunch of lies.
Yep. So once they were there, that's it. They weren't free to go home. So
Wow.
once they got once they got it memorialized, oh, you can go now. We've
Wow.
got the words.
Like
But
like
they
Doc
had
said
that
earlier.
prior to Fox Hills, right? They
Yes,
had
yes,
already
they did.
interviewed him, and then they just let him go home on the 28th. I
Well-
mean, what did
well-
they achieve there?
Well, potentially Brendan could have come back and said, I made it all up, guys. I want to recant.
Yep.
Right? Because that's exactly what Matt Livers did.
Yes.
The
he
next
did.
day he came in and he goes, I only told you what you wanted to hear. Brendan potentially could have come back and said, that was all bullshit, boys. I made
Matt
it all
just
up.
Matt just wanted out of that fucking room. He'd been in there for hours. They wouldn't leave. That guy wouldn't believe anything he said.
You can imagine he would have had low blood glucose. He probably would have been completely out of his mind. No, they wouldn't allow him to go home.
They memorialized it with the interview at the police station
At the police station, correct?
prior to taking them to Fox Hills.
Correct?
That's right.
Correct.
And then the next day they just go home. So what did they accomplish by
Well, they
taking
got
them
it-
to Fox Hills? Another interview at
Yes, they
Fox
did.
Hills?
At Fox Hills.
Unrecorded?
Yep.
Well, that's where they got the information about the jeans and also the cleaning of the garage.
And I'm with Susan. I think they do have a recording of it, and we've never seen it. That's me.
Yeah,
I can't
do
prove
too.
that.
They're two DCI agents. I mean, come on.
Correct.
All
And
right.
didn't they take Brendan home to get those jeans on the
On
way to?
March 1st.
That's the first.
Oh, it was March 1st. Okay.
Don't worry,
Yeah.
we'll go through all of that.
Yeah. They picked him up at school, and then on the way to Manitowoc Police Station,
They
stopped at the
personally went
trailer.
in and got it.
Yep. That's right. Okay. Next question.
Maybe ask Barb to clarify exactly what they actually told her regarding her being allowed to be in these interviews.
Well, that's up to Barb. I don't want to speak for her or anyone else here on the panel, but from my perspective, Barb has to be extremely careful what she says publicly, right?
Correct.
Because
correct.
this is still a live legal matter at this point.
Correct.
It's in appeal. So for Barb, she has to. I think she just has to be mindful of what she says. That I would be. I mean, holy shit.
Yes, and I don't think it's appropriate for us to talk to Barb.
And it's
Because
not going to make any kind of difference to anything.
no, we have deliberately only stuck with official documents. We're not being
Yeah.
no one's telling us what to say or what not to say. We have gone through the official documents and we're presenting it to you as presented in court. Right, we're not getting any input from any family member or putting it
No.
in here in the podcast or being influenced. This is the raw stuff. As we read it out, you heard it. That's exactly what transpired in real time.
That is, I mean, we have deliberately not talked to people
Yes,
because there's a danger there. I mean, I've been asked, I know Doc has, and probably other people at Foul Play, what you guys should really interview such and such, and that would be great. But at the same time, I mean, I know that, I don't want to throw out anything untoward, but I know that there was a discussion several months ago, but when Thomas Baresh showed up about us
yes,
interviewing him, and I'm like, there's no way in hell I would do
No.
that. Not now. There's no way. You couldn't pay me to do it. I'm sorry.
Yep.
So there's a danger there, Mr. President. We have to be careful.
correct. And That's why I believe that the way we've approached this has validity, because we've backed up every statement with official documents. We've given our opinions, but
Right.
the documents are right there. You go to our website or a YouTube channel, it's there. You could read them yourself. And that way, nothing is being manipulated or left out. All the important snippets are right there. We're not being influenced or by what Barb is saying or anybody saying. That'll be wrong. We're presenting it as we got it.
Yeah, we try to be really careful about, and I know I am, I know Doc is, Susan, I know everybody really tries to be careful, and we probably overstate it too much when we say this is my opinion. I do that
Correct.
intentionally. I'm speculating. I can't prove it. I try to be very upfront about that, and I have
Correct.
for years,
Mm.
because I don't want what I say. Sure, you can think about it, but I'm not saying you need to believe me. I'm just saying this is what I think. So please, anyone out there, and I would encourage that to everyone, do your own thing, man. Anyway, I don't want to get off on that. So
Correct.
anyway, let's move on to the next question.
Was Brendan in regular contact with Tom Yonda over the course of the interviews?
Not as far as I'm aware.
No.
Doubt
No.
it.
In fact, I don't even think he was in regular contact with his biological dad. I could be wrong, but his name does Pete Dassey doesn't get brought up at all, as far as
No.
I'm aware.
Yeah, and truly, unless you're there in the family, who knows?
The dynamics
You-
would have been pretty tough back then, because Barb was going through a divorce and going out with Scott, and
Yeah, we have to consider this time frame from November '05 until the end of February '06. Several months of just everyday life, and you hear we've talked about that before, but I never heard anything like that. Don't know.
but the if I could just add, the tragedy for Brendan was that everyone scattered. You heard
Yes.
what Barb said. Brendan was spending more time outside. His brothers were going to friends' play. Everyone sort of scattered, and so
Mhm.
I'm not really sure that Brendan really got along with Scott at that stage, right? So Brendan was more isolated, and plus the person he looked up to was in jail.
Yeah.
Stephen.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep. So he had no older male figure that he could disclose things in.
No,
Or
just
he didn't really
just
talk to Earl and Chuck very much either.
just his school friends, and I say friends. I use that term extremely loosely.
Travis.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Next question from another one from Anthony.
What ammunition must be used in a .22 to cause beveling?
I'm not sure whether it was long rifle, short rifle. I know that the .22 bullets come in different types.
22 long, or XL long, or something.
And also was it hollow point? The item
Yes.
felt hollow point.
Yes.
Yep. Haig used, I think, similar ammunition to fire up bovine scapulars of the same thickness as a human skull.
Yeah.
And what he found was that the penetrating power was not enough to transverse the skull. So once the bullet hits the bone, it causes internal beveling. So the bullet enters into the skull and causes the beveling, because what happens is as the bullet enters into the skull, it shatters the bone on the inside and causes beveling. That's normal when a bullet hits the skull. And he tried it. He used the same ammunition. It enters into the skull but does not transverse it. And Kratz even said they never found any exit fragment, bone fragments. So they can't actually prove a through and through shot.
No. It was just implied heavily.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. Another one from Anthony.
Why is Barb and Brendan separated at Fox Hills? They like doing that.
That's right. The common theme was keeping the investigation, the integrity of the investigation intact. So potentially, if Barb was saying to Brendan, "Mate, don't say any more.
Right.
We'll get
You're
a
done.
lawyer." Yeah.
Yeah.
You know that you're digging yourself into a grave here. Keep quiet. So separate them, which is very interesting because I never did that to Scott and Ryan.
It's manipulative, and to me, it's tampering. But
Yep.
They can feed Barb whatever they want.
Yep, it's controlling the narrative, and that's remember her comment when she appeared on the news report after the broadcast of the March 2nd press conference. Stephen, if you're listening to this, I hate you. Words to that effect.
she was mad as hell, and why wouldn't she be? She's been.
As a cut snake, and that's exactly what law enforcement were after.
That's right, and
Disunite
it worked.
Disunite
Well,
the family.
Yep, lit
Correct.
a fire that is
Yep.
going to be extremely hard to put out until she
Correct.
begins to cool off
Until-
and understand
yep.
what they did.
It took Barb a long time to realize they were all manipulated.
That's
And
right.
devastatingly so. Correct.
That's right. All right, next question. Another one from Anthony.
Did cops state color fast bleach was
They found
used?
they found the bleach bottle. They found it.
But it was chlorine bleach, wasn't it?
Was the one that won't destroy the DNA or the hemoglobin, because to remove the blood you need oxy bleach. Stephen didn't have that; he had the wrong bleach. So it's funny.
That bleach also will not leave stains on clothing or bleach out the fabric. I don't think.
No, the oxy bleach is the real heavy duty bleach. And in actual fact, I read a report said that if you're going to commit a crime and you want to clean it up, you use the oxy bleach.
Right.
Stephen didn't use that. No.
That will kill DNA.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other important thing, which we'll talk about after, they got all the bottles. They got the bottles of the paint thinner, the gasoline, and the bleach. They tested it for DNA. They tested it for blood. Nothing.
Well, if that was color fast bleach, it would not have damaged the jeans. It would not have left bleach out.
It will still stain. It will still stain. But the oxy bleach is used to clean up crime scenes. That's what you need to clean up crime scenes, not the bleach that Stephen used. Because
okay, I see what you're saying.
Even if you cleaned the blood with the bleach, you can still stain it with luminol and still find the blood.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the other one completely dilutes it out. I read that in a journal article. Said, if you're gonna commit a crime, this is the bleach to get. It was so funny. No, Stephen used the wrong bleach.
Okay. And we got a good comment from Andy B.
Andy B.
Does anyone know why the Smokescreen podcast hasn't done their debunking of Casey and Mamtu like they promised yet? Has the camp sponsorship money not been forthcoming, do you think? I can care less if Smokescreen does that or not. I'm not going to watch it. Sorry.
No.
Yeah, no idea what's going on there.
But you did find a little nugget this week, Jack, that I saw. Sean Reck's new employee.
Employee.
Yeah, that I hadn't been on their website in a while, and I was looking for actually a documentary that they're apparently producing. I'm not going to get into the politics of that, but I was going through their list of employees that had a photo and a name for everybody, and Brenda Shearer is now a producer for Transition Studios, which is interesting. She found a permanent job out of her work, I guess, with on cam. Go figure.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Last question.
Barb denied they were interviewed at Fox Hills. Yes.
I think she said something like that,
Yeah.
from what I recall. But clearly, they were definitely interviewed. We've got a
Absolutely.
DCI report. We've got a DCI
Right.
report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Barb, they mentioned in that DCI report, Barb and Brendan having a conversation about the genes. Right,
Yeah.
that's it.
That's it.
Awesome. Well, look, guys, again, thank you so much. No matter from what listening platform you're listening from, I realize that it is a very, very, yeah, I know it's a very tough series of podcasts to go through, but we've got to do it. We've got to deep dive, leave no stone unturned, just to show everybody what actually transpired and what Brendan had to go through, and of course his family. So, guys, I think we'll quickly go through the panel just to let us know what you're up to. Jack 61, how about you, good sir?
Basically, same old, same old. I'm still waiting on news or anything from the DOJ. Haven't had. Well, I did get something, but it's not pertaining to the actual old request that I'd made. This is something totally different, but it's nothing really new. Tomorrow for open mic, we're going to continue on with the queso dispatch calls and get as far as we get. And then Monday, of course, Jeff Jones and I will have the Doc Club. And Thursday will be Rhonda and the gang, continuing on with Daniel's case. And then that's well, next Saturday we'll have another presentation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jack 61. And what about you, Susan? Those chickens behaving themselves?
Yeah, actually, I have to go out. I went out to close them into their pen,
Yeah.
and the two little bitches wouldn't go in. So I have to run out and put the chickens to bed. So I'm just going to say good night, everybody. And thanks for coming and listening and being a part of this podcast.
Thank you so much, Susan. Thank you. And thank you for your reading. Awesome. And finally, we have Cherie. How about yourself? How are you coming along?
I'm doing well. Been busy at work, and I'm listening to Defense Diaries, doing the Chad Daybell case and Delphi. So,
the Karen Reed case. Oh my God.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get to Karen Reed right now. I'm still on Chad Daybell, but yeah.
So you haven't heard Proctor testify? This cop?
No, I'm behind. I've heard some of that. He's really.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He is the worst. The worst. Anyway, I'll let that go. Go ahead.
Oh, that's all I had. Thank you for another interesting but infuriating presentation.
Thank you so much. Well, look, guys, again, thank you so much for joining us and supporting us. If you've enjoyed our podcast and you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing and putting your DNA on the thumbs up button if you enjoyed the podcast. And please share our podcast. The more people can get to hear our podcast, the better. I mean, for me personally and for Neverly, putting this together and also other members of the Foul Play team, it's heartbreaking. Listening and reading the stuff and putting it all together, it's heartbreaking. But it happened to Brendan. It can happen to your son or daughter. It can actually happen to yourself. But next week, we're going to be progressing along the line until we hit the March 1st interrogation, and all gloves are off on that one. Again, guys, thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow, Jack 61. You're doing the phone calls.
5 p.m. Central.
Awesome. We'll catch you tomorrow. Take care, everyone. Thank you.
With that, I'm going to say good night, everyone. Good day, everyone. And this has been a Foul Play production.